Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our City Council meeting. Today is Monday, March 20th, 2023. It's approximately 1 p.m. Before we have our Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to ask you to please rise for a brief moment of silence as we reflect back on the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces as they protect our interests around the globe, as well as the courageous men and women of the Las Cruces Police Department and the Las Cruces Fire Department as they keep our city safe 24/7, 365. Councilor Abeta, if you join me in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to have our Pet of the Week, and Amy DeFelix, who's going to join us via Zoom from the Animal Services Shelter, is going to introduce one cat and one dog, I presume. Amy, are you there?
Hello, yes I am. May I share the screen? There we go. Alrighty, so we'll start off with our cat of the week. His name is Claude. His animal number is 58657. And he says, I've had to rely on my instincts for most of my life so far, so when people approach me, my first idea is to run and climb away. However, when you slowly introduce your hand to me, I'm immediately rubbing up on it and asking for more pets. Human affection is one thing I truly want, but I'm scared to ask for it first. I need a family that understands that and will give me some time to blossom. And then now we also have our dog of the week. And his name is Kojo. His animal number is 47243. And he says, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy that just wants to spend his time out on walks with my future family. I'm lively and vivacious and sure to light up any room I step into. I bring so much joy and excitement to the lives of anyone I meet, but I'm ready to give it all to my forever home. We will also be alongside Doña County government at the Butterfield Community Center for their Operation Community Sweep, where the Doña County is offering some trash removal services, and we will be there to give some free canine, the DHPP, and feline, the FERCP vaccines, and we will also offer rabies vaccines at $10. And this is available at the Butterfield Community Center for the Butterfield residents. And now, to keep on with our theme of spay and neuter and spay and neuter education, I'd like to pose a question, which is why spay and neuter? And a lot of people ask that. It's an elective surgery, so people want to know why vet clinics, animal shelters, and why we all always push it. Well, there's a few reasons. One of them being that it does potentially increase their lifespan. There was the University of Georgia study back in 2013 where they studied 7,000, I believe, canine death records, and they found a trend in which that the life expectancy of the spayed or neutered animals, it was 13.8% longer for neutered males and 26.3% longer for spayed females. This might have a direct effect because when you spay and neuter, you completely eliminate the risk of certain reproductive cancers like the uterine or ovarian cancers because they're removed completely, so there's no risk of cancer. As well as the males, testicular cancer, that risk is completely gone because the testes are removed. It also greatly reduces the risk of other reproductive cancers like the mammary cancer risk in females is greatly lowered. It's about like 1%, and prostatic cancers for males is also greatly lowered. Spaying and neutering also decreases undesirable behaviors like spraying and marking for males. They always want to mark their territory. When they're neutered, especially when they're neutered early, they never develop that behavior, or hardly ever. They are less likely to develop that behavior. Roaming as well, male dogs escaping the yard, roaming, trying to find a female to mate with. When they're neutered, that desire completely goes away. Howling and yowling, if you've heard cats, especially that are in heat, they will yell, they'll yowl, they'll be very loud. But when they're spayed, that behavior is completely gone. It's eliminated. Same with just general territorial, dominating, aggressive behavior, especially in males and mounting. When they are neutered, those behaviors decrease, if not are completely eliminated. And of course, one of These are all important reasons, but another one that we definitely spay and neuter for is because spaying and neutering just decreases the overall population. Every stray animal that ever comes into any animal shelter, any vet clinic, they are there because their parents weren't spayed or neutered, and usually usually unwanted. So we would like to eliminate the kind of just epidemic, basically, of unwanted litters by just spaying and neutering. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Amy. We appreciate that information. And thanks for the introduction, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.
Okay. All right, so next is going to be our Jobs of the Week, and Irene Pata from the Economic Development Department will be announcing those.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Irene Pata with Economic Development. Okay, we begin with the City of Las Cruces, who is hiring for an active transportation coordinator. This position pays between $58,000 and $83,000 a year and closes on May 5th, or excuse me, April, sorry. My mind went blank there for a moment. White Sands is looking for a child and youth program assistant. This position pays $17.39 an hour and closes on December 28th. Nevada Research and Engineering is hiring for a document specialist and editor. This position pays between $29,000 and $59,000 a year, depending on experience, and closes on June 6th. American Beverages is hiring for 2 warehouse person and loader. This position pays $17.90 an hour, depending on experience, and closes on April 25th. Kids Care, DDS, is hiring for a receptionist. This position pays between $22,000 a year and $30,000 a year, depending on experience, and closes on April 8th. And Bohanna Houston is hiring for a construction observer. This position pays between $44,000 and $60,000 a year, depending on experience, and closes on March 7th. And for more information, you can contact the local Workforce Connection office at 575-524-6250 or visit at their location at 226 South Alameda or online at employnm.com. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those descriptions, Irene. And next we're going to have some presentations. One's going to be to the Optimus Club, which I see them out there, and Councilor Beta will be doing those.
Thank you, Mayor. And for the Optimus Club, we actually don't have any of the items here. No.
Okay, let's go ahead and go, well, let's do the National Surveyors Week, and then we'll find out what...
Thank you. Then may we please have Virginia Beck and David Acosta come up? And any of your guests that you would like.
Where do we go?
Thank you. We have our proclamation for the National Surveyors Week. Whereas National Surveyors Week was intentionally proclaimed by President Ronald Reagan on February 18th, 1984, and is dedicated to recognizing and promoting the importance of surveying profession in the United States. And whereas former Nobel surveyors include George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Meriwether Lewis, William Clark, and Henry David Thoreau, among many others. And whereas surveying has been an essential element in the development of the human environment since the beginning of recorded history, and is required in the planning and execution of nearly every form of construction, with its most familiar modern uses in the fields of transportation, building, construction, communities, mapping, and the definition of legal boundaries for land ownership. And whereas, in order to accomplish their objective, surveyors use elements of engineering, physics, mathematics, law, and history. And whereas the nature of surveying has changed dramatically over time, as it is no longer limited to the description and location of land boundaries. And whereas geodetic surveys determine precise global positioning for activities such as aircraft and missile navigation, and whereas cartographic surveys are used for mapping and charting as well as photogrammetry and the science of using aerial photographs for measurement and map production. And whereas many services are now provided through the use of sophisticated surveying equipment and techniques, including satellite-borne remote sensing devices and automated positioning, measuring, recording, and plotting equipment. And whereas the City of Las Cruces recognizes surveyors as a force of positive change and appreciates all their contributions to the community. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the week of March 19th through March 25th, 2023 as National Surveyors Week.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your thoughtful proclamation. I'm accepting this for the professional surveyors and all New Mexico surveyors. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Just to let you know how important they are, anyone who's ever purchased a home, if you don't have a survey, you're not buying the house, so.
If I may just add a couple of more words. You might notice my colors that I'm wearing today. And NMSU is very proud to be the only educational institution in our state that offers advanced degrees in surveying and geomatics, which is the current title. And with that, we thank all of you, the members of the community, for your continued support for hundreds of years. And we look forward to the future and working with all of you for development, construction, and residential expansion. Thank you.
Okay, so actually the next item is a presentation from the Optimus Club to the Las Cruces Police Department, specifically the school resource officers. So I'm going to ask if the Optimus Club want to come forward. So the school resource officers, if you're not aware, are the men and women at Las Cruces Police Department who are in the middle schools and high schools. And so it's a partnership between the Las Cruces Police Department and Las Cruces Public Schools. And so the Optimists want to give them something on behalf of their club, their organization. I apologize for not having that available.
Are you through, sir? Okay, my name is Lynn Hampton. I'm the president of the local Optimus Club, the Optimus Club of Las Cruces. We're here today to honor the school resource officers. And as the mayor was saying, the resource officers are law enforcement officers with arrest powers who work full-time or part-time in the school setting. And they all are armed, and most of them carry other restraint like handcuffs as well. One of the reasons that we are doing this, it's a program that the Optimus Club has been doing for years. In July 1965, a discussion between past Optimus International president Carl Bowen and former FBI director J. Edgar Hoover resulted in the birth of the Respect for Law program. This is the fourth most popular program with more than 1,500 clubs participating each year. Over 250,000 law enforcement officers have been honored by thousands of Optimus clubs around the world for over 50 years. The mission of the Optimus Club is providing hope and positive vision, and optimists bring out the best in youth, our communities, and ourselves. The purpose of the Optimus Club is to develop optimism as a philosophy of life, utilizing the tenets of our Optimus Creed, to promote an active interest in good government and civic affairs, to inspire respect for the law, to promote patriotism and work for international accord and friendship among all people, to aid and encourage the development of youth, in the belief that giving of oneself in the service of others will advance the well-being of humankind, community life, and the world. Optimists believe it is important for children to grow up with a strong belief in abiding by the law, respecting law enforcement, and doing what they can to maintain peace. And as part of our program, as I said, we are here to honor the school resource officers. And what we have, we're giving them a certificate of appreciation for each of them. There are 11 of them, and I'll read you their names, as well as a desk creed. And the creed, this is our Optimus Creed, and I don't know if I have time to read it, so I'll not read it. And next I will read the names of the school resource officers that we are recognizing here today. I will try not to butcher it too badly, and I will, let's give, all right. Octavio Barrera, Christopher Carrillo, Anthony Harrison, Robert Hogain, Jose Prado, Jesus Quinones, David Ramirez, Gabriel Rodriguez, Gilbert Sanchez, Jason Sucedo, and their supervisor, Manny Melendez. So with that, we will recognize them as their. All right. This is theirs. Okay.
Just want to mention that all of our school resource officers unfortunately aren't here because they're at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center receiving additional training in active threat or active shooter training so they can continue to keep our kids safe, but then also provide training to school staff and other people in the school district system. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and that concludes our presentations and proclamations.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. Okay, so now we're going to go to the conflict of interest statement. This is where I ask if any member of the City Council, City Manager, or any member of the city staff has any known conflict of interest on any item on the agenda.
None, Graham.
None. None.
None. None, Candela.
Okay, seeing none. And then Councilor Flores is out of town, so she's not available here today. Now we're going to move on to public participation. This is where members of the public can speak for a total of 7 minutes, 3 minutes for public participation, and a total of 4 minutes for an item that's on the agenda. All that we ask is if it's on the agenda, if you could wait till that item comes before the council and then speak your concerns. Or if you have to leave, please let us know and you can talk about it, and then that way their council doesn't respond back. Also, we can't discuss any pending litigation as well, okay? I usually start on my first row on my left. It looks like Dr. Nesson can't wait to get out of that chair. And
My name is Dr. Earl Nissen, and I live in Las Cruces. Behind a paper clip, there are 3 handouts I want to make quick reference to. The first thing is, I want to mention that the mayor has notified the Oversight Committee that there won't be a work session because, as he says, I am sorry, but there is not enough support, referring to the City Council, to hold a work session on this issue. If we had, I would have brought up the very first handout, which was police oversight in the United States. This just quickly introduces you to the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. That's like the gold standard for police oversight committees and review boards across the country. I want to quit, since we don't have much time, I want to go to the 5th page of the handout is a website that the association has called Police Oversight by Jurisdiction. If you bring this up on your screen, you can click on any one of these cities, and it will pop up the Citizens Review Board or Oversight Board that they have in that community. There are 150 here. I've learned that there are 50 more out there in the country that are not listed with the association, and one of them, after the 4 pages, I've given you Toledo, Ohio. They have had a Citizens Review Board since 1991. I think the interesting thing, if you look through some of these, you will see they've been in existence for a long time, especially Honolulu. They've been in existence with a police board since 1973. And so therefore, the statement that they don't work can't be given, because of all of these are very active boards. Then the last page, we've gotten kind of interested in what Anaheim has for a police review board. So I've given you a pop-up on that, and you can see that they just had a March 16th meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Nissen. Your 3 minutes have expired.
Well, what about these other ones?
Yeah, well, the council each has copies of them, and they'll be more than happy to look at them.
Can I do it the second round?
Maybe next, you can come back in 2 weeks. You can come back on April 3rd.
But I wanted to describe the claims one that I gave out at the NACP meeting, if I could, just for a second. Okay.
Dr. Nissen, I'll give you 1 minute, okay?
Okay. There is a third one called Claims Paid by Doña County and City of Las Cruces for Police Misconduct. I did an inspection of public records, and I came up with this, that the Doña County Sheriff's Department, which has approximately 160 officers, in 4 years, there were 9 claims against officers for a total of $10,710. For the city of Las Cruces has approximately 170 officers. There were 48 claims filed against officers, resulting in, over the 4 years, claims paid out of $17,421,000. And in the 4 years that I looked at, the Indiana Sheriff's Department did not have a single police shooting resulting in death. The largest amount we paid out was to the Venezuela family for $8 million.
I'll let you finish your last sentence. Well, thank you, Dr. Neeson. One thing that I'd like the public to understand is the City of Las Cruces is self-insured. So when we pay a claim, everything is registered. Doña Ana County Sheriff's Department, although a very professional police organization, is actually insured by the Multi-Line Insurance Authority. Therefore, when they have a claim, it's actually paid by a third party. And that's how those are paid. So you're not going to find through Information Act any of their claims because it's paid for by a third party. And so what little bit that you're showing here are probably little small incidentals that they rather not even file with their insurance department or insurance company, and that's why why there's such a huge disparity. Dr. Neeson, I'm sorry, your time is up. I just wanted to respond to that, and we'll see you on April 3rd. Anyone else on the first row? Second row. Yes, ma'am, and then retired Representative Antonio Lujan. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Diana Salgado Dow. I'd like an extra minute or two because I don't read that fast, but anyway, I'll go as fast as I can. I'm a professional licensed counselor here in the city. I've dealt with elderly and preschool in private sector and public sector. I'd like to speak to you about the topic of domestic violence. Through my work and living in Las Cruces, I've seen that the victims of domestic violence get ignored when calls for help are made, but not in the way you might think so. We have a responsive and professional police force and programs which can help. So let me explain. Domestic violence is considered conflict in the form of aggressive or violent behavior between two adults. Most DV calls are not one-time occurrences. The officers see the same people over and over, not noticing or understanding the trauma that goes on before the officer knocks on the door or they arrive on the scene. The officers follow protocol of de-escalation, make arrests if there's evidence of bodily harm. Otherwise, they fill out a report and nothing is done because they cannot do anything about two adults choosing to fight, and the cycle of violence goes on. Children and families have told me of their hiding in the bedroom. As someone drops to the floor, they hear the screams, the thud on the floor. Police are called by neighbors. Children are warned not to say anything in fear of being taken away. And parents don't tell on each other for the same reason. The entire family is traumatized by repeated events. People come to the point they can't take the conflict, and either they fight or they check out with suicide because they don't know another way. As a therapist, as a required reporter of abuse, this is a very sad situation to me. Some may have physical marks of the fight, and others have emotional scars, but the cycle continues. In another DV case, we found out the gentleman was raised in foster homes, group homes, and hospitals after being taken from his parents as a child. The traumatized by removal from the home and later systems of restraint and punishment. He did the same to his partner. He lacked healing and emotional regulation skills. Fighting always started with verbal assaults, her trying to leave, and scratching and biting to get away from his restraint, taking away her car keys, and beating her car up instead of her because he knew better. She eventually went to jail overnight for leaving marks on him. Then, in hopeless attempts to escape the violence, she ended up in the hospital 2 times for attempted suicide. Through the experience of shared homes and separate homes, the violence followed all over town, along with more property damage, breaking and entering, and homelessness. 2 consenting adults labeled as domestic violence. I just have about another minute. Could I have another minute?
We'll give you 1 more minute.
Thank you so much. 2 consenting adults labeled as domestic violence with over 50 documented calls for help had no prosecutions, no treatment for the individuals. I pray that they get help and change the ending of their story before it is too late. I have also seen the positive effects of mandated interventions in DWIs, therapy for parents and children of child abuse. We have good programs. We want to keep families together. But I also pose a question to you. for your consideration. How can we connect the services we offer in this community with the need for intervention? Allowing the fighting to go on and not have consequences of treatment is just not right. The city's individuals have been involved with or in the database. Let's just connect the dots of all these people and all these events that is multiplying to get them help and take down the barriers of those who are involved in domestic violence and labeled as such. So, thank you.
Ms. Delgado, you'll be happy to hear that District Attorney Gerald Byers and the City of Las Cruces are working together to try to see how they can assist, perhaps maybe even adding someone in staff here in the city to assist with the DA regarding domestic violence.
Terrific. It's a real need.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for listening.
Representative Antonio Lujan. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, and good afternoon, members of the council, as well as support staff.
Even though I called you by name, I just need you to state your name.
Oh, my name is Antonio Lujan, and I am here in the capacity of representing Las Esperanzas, a grassroots organization that has been in existence for 25 years. Our president, Marta Rodriguez, happens to be out of town. Our vice president, Ms. Stacy Aguirre, is currently here. If you please stand, Stacy. And I have been traumatized by mainframes and punch cards, so I don't have fancy technology. But I do have a handout, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pass out.
Okay, can you give that to the clerk, please?
Yes, sir.
And Representative, can you talk into the microphone? Can you kind of, yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. And our proposal is to conduct a study to reduce Lumen and Amador by 1 lane, a half a lane on each side, and therefore making room for pedestrian traffic, bicycles, and also shade and greenery so that they can calm the traffic as they pass there. There are some businesses that are circulating petitions, as well as some people in the neighborhood that support this effort. And I would just ask that the city give ample consideration to this proposal. And you would certainly have the support of Las Esperanzas. And I believe we're in talks with AARP as well. And they will be able to assist us. In the short period of time that we had, we were able to come up with a short a sketch of what we kind of envisioned. We didn't put in any detail, but being optimistic and hoping that the city will react positively to this, then I'm sure that the city roads department can do a much better job than we did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I really do ask for your consideration on this issue. It's very important to the quality of life of those of us that are in the middle of those two streets, especially in the evening with the drag racing that goes on. And I want to thank you all for your service, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Lujan, before you go, I just have a quick question. Did I hear you say half a lane on each side or a lane on each side? Because this shows 2 lanes. Are you still,
yes, Mr. Mayor, that's taking into consideration. What we did is measure 1 lane and the size of that, and taking into account ADA sidewalk requirements. Then we kind of tried to get more or less an approximation of what it would look like. So it would be 2 lanes, and the rest would be reserved for pedestrian. It's in accordance with the ordinance that the city has adopted on complete streets.
Okay, I thought I heard you say earlier, you said half a lane on each side.
Yes.
So that, because it's 4 lanes right now. So if we,
I believe it's 3 lanes, Mr. Mayor.
right now, Lumen and Amador are 4 lanes?
I hope that I'm mistaken, but I believe it's 3 lanes.
Okay. You want a lunch bet on that? Yeah, so, okay, well, let me look at this. And then I think it said that you were thinking from, was it Maine to Solano?
Yes,
So
Mr.
knowing that from Solano up until Telshore, leave it the way it is.
Yes,
So you're just talking about from Main Street to, well, that's an interesting concept, Representative.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
I'm like 99.99% positive there are 4 lanes on both ways, so.
Thank you. And just note, Mr. Mayor, that after Solano, the street narrows there also. So we're the only ones that get really the bulk of the traffic.
Gotcha. Yeah, that might actually solve a problem. There's one business that the food is so good that it blocks one whole lane. And so, yeah, okay, well, let me take a look at it. So thank you very much.
I would
and
appreciate
I'll
your
be in
consideration.
touch.
Thank
Okay?
you very much,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
It's 4, yeah, I knew it was, yeah, thought so. I was trying to get a lunch from him. You messed that up. Just kidding. Okay, hold on, Mayor Pro Tem Emeritus. Is there anyone else on that second row? We're good? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Dolores Archuleta, and I am a member of Las Esperanzas and have been one for a long time. But recently, more sort of paying my dues and not having the time or good health to keep on going. But whatever you can do for them, it would be appreciated. And I bring with me this book that was written by the late Patrick Beckett, that he wrote and published in 2003, and the whole book is about 1881, and that's when the railroad came to Las Cruces. And he says, I was in the city council at that time, and he says, to Dolores, the Mesquite district today looks much the same as it did in 1881. And if he thought that was a compliment to us, he was wrong. It did take a long time to get the things that we wanted done. And for example, we have the Klein Park, and that land was donated to us, and I grew up and raised there in the Mesquite Historic District. And the Klein Park, by name, was given to us, and it was full of bushes, mesquite bushes, rocks, so we could never play there. And I lost my train of thought here.
You were talking about Klein Park and how it was given to you, and you grew up in that area.
Yes, okay, then I graduated high school, graduated training school, nurses school, and got married in that order, and Klein Park was still the same. So whatever it is that you can do for them, it would be appreciated. Now, of interest to the police department, because they've been around for in the news recently, they were also created in 1881, and that was because the railroad brought a lot of problems to the city. But there was no money for money to pay for the police department, and you might share this with Senator the Chief Dominguez. What they did was ask people to donate money every 2 months, and then they could pay the salary of the 2 police officers that they wanted to help with, and they give them there's no mention of training or a uniform. I think they just put a badge on and a gun, and that was them. And they started out with maybe $2, $3, $25 every 2 months that they donated towards the fund to have the police department there. So the police department have come a long way. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you. All right, that was the third row. Anyone else? I see Julia Brown there. Good to see you, Julia. Fourth row? Anyone in the fourth row? Fifth row? That's sixth row is one. Anyone sixth row? Yeah.
Mayor, Council, today I'd like to talk about political hypocrisy.
Oh, excuse me, Juan, I need you to state your name, please.
Juan Garcia.
Yeah.
Today I'd like to speak about political hypocrisy and arrogance. From one of our councilors at the 6th March council session, and I quote, "We are coming for you next, Pistol Pete." Whether people like it or not, the councilor is going to impose her progressive socialist views on the citizens of Las Cruces, whether they like it or not. Progressive or regressive ideology reinvigorates racial divisiveness and victimhood, key elements for social justice. What is she coming after next? The three crosses? Las tres cruces, maybe? Another counselor, and I quote, "How dare we go to a bunch of non-indigenous people if this word squaw was offensive?" And so my question is, how dare we as residents, homeowners, taxpayers who have purchased land from you, the city government, to weigh in if their street should be renamed because our council is on a history-cleansing crusade. And I quote, "I think we were derailed when residents on that street took action not to have the street changed." End of quote. Darn those Pritzker residents who want a voice in the name of the street. The deaths of indigenous women or any innocent person, whether attributed to words such as squaw or under the cover of terms like reproductive health, is horrible. Where's the call for social justice to stop the mutilation and barbaric deaths occurring here in Las Cruces in abortion clinics? That won't happen because termination of innocent babies is a fight for the greater progressive cause. There's already 3 abortion clinics here in Las Cruces, and so the governor is giving us one more to keep the industry of death alive and well. Another counselor was focused on removing the bias that could arise when attempting to erase or rewrite history. Perhaps we have a history cleansing or thought crime department to ensure that progressive ideology is followed and imposed among the unwilling should be created. Across the nation, progressives now use the Alinsky tactics on history. The target or the formula was pick a target, freeze it, personalize it, and finally polarize it. It is no longer reserved for living people. Historical figures and even episodes in Las Cruces received the same treatment. History and progress are linked. History tells us the story of progress, and progress is possible by studying history and in some cases learning from past mistakes, not by erasing. Progressives are determined to destroy not just statues, but historical memories because they know American history is incompatible with their goals. At the same time, since the last briefing, there's been a 25% increase in crime in Las Cruces. And I'd like to enter.
Sure, if you want to give that to the clerk, please. Okay, so that was the 6th row. Anyone else on the 6th row? This gentleman, yes. Just going to need you to state your name, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. My name is Michael Potts, and I've just returned from a month-long family emergency in Virginia, and I come around at abouts and find that this council has made the most gregarious grab for power that I've seen in a long time. Now, if anybody is, and I know that you've tried to, at times, school this council and the proper procedures and of governments and stuff, but let me give you a little, I'm sorry. let me just start over again. You tried to school this council as far as how the government works and stuff, and I'd just like to expound on that, since what you've been faced with is with the deaf ears and stuff, and they haven't listened to you at all as for how to properly govern Las Cruces. Now, during that time period, while I was gone, I seemed to have missed the meeting where the city of Las Cruces gave this council the ability to be the moral voice of Las Cruces. I seem to miss the meeting that Las Cruces gave this council the ability to be the censorship committee of Las Cruces. You know, we faced this before, and I just want to say that to this council that this is the United States of America, and we're a constitutional republic with a representative type of government. And if you've had the opportunity to read the preamble to our Constitution, you'll know it starts with "we the people." We the people means everybody in this audience, everybody in this chamber and stuff. We have the power to appoint or elect you to do what we want you to do. You're not around about there to make your own personal agenda and decide what you want to do. You're supposed to listen to us, to we the people. We're your boss. We're the ones that tell you what to do. We elected you or appointed you to be in that seat, and we can take you out of that seat come the next election. Now, what I wanted to talk about is last year we talked about Squaw Mountain Drive, and that decision was already made, and now it's come back up again, seems like. And I wanted to remind this council that these are the things that you have caused the people on that street to have to do. The driver's license and other DMV registrations have to be changed. Social Security documents have to be changed. Bank accounts have to be changed. Relatives have to be notified of the street change. Electric company has to be notified. Loan holders, including mortgage companies, have to be notified. Professional alumni organizations have to be notified. You're going to run me out of time here, and I'm sorry about that. Google and driver GPS and maps, including satellites, they have to be notified also. So this is the things that you're putting the people that you represent through. And if you change any other street name here in Las Cruces, they have to do the same thing. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you should be ashamed of the way you're treating your constituents.
Mr.
And I just think that is entirely...
I'm sorry, your time has expired.
I know my time's up, but
Yes,
this
sir.
is important to tell this council that they're screwing up.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. While Sarah makes her way down here, I just, last Saturday, I was with the NAACP, and let me just tell you, I bragged about you all. I said, this is the most educated city council I ever worked with. They're all college graduates. 2 have doctor's degrees, 4 have master's degrees. I said, do you think I can tell these highly educated, highly motivated women how to do things? Absolutely not. So you guys do a great job, by the way. Okay, I just want you to know that. Okay. Okay, Sarah.
Thank you. City councilors and mayor, my name is Sarah Smith. One of the items on your agenda today is to designate areas around El Paseo, Solano, and West Picacho as metropolitan redevelopment areas because of the fact that these areas are blighted with problems related to, quote, infrastructure condition, public services, crime, housing condition, etc. By designating these areas as metropolitan redevelopment areas, the city would be able to facilitate improvements to these areas. But I'm concerned that these improvements will only be superficial and not change the overall trends. If the current property crime, vandalism, drug usage, and homeless situation are not improved, these areas are likely to just decay all over again. Downtown Main Street was given as an example of where the city has successfully redeveloped an area, and I agree that Main Street does look better now. However, numerous business owners from that area have come to this council to report that they are suffering frequent broken windows, robberies, public urination, and other issues. You may recall the owner of the yoga studio who was here a couple of months ago and told you that one of her teachers had been attacked with rocks thrown at her car and threatened, quote, "I am going to rape and kill you." As you know, El Paseo, Solano, and Picacho are areas that are undesirable for businesses and homeowners, not just because they look run down, but also because of high criminal activity, drug usage, and homelessness in those areas. When I have asked about whether the city can address substance abuse as one of the root causes of these problems, I have been told that the city does not have the funding to make the strides needed in substance abuse treatment. Yet, in today's meeting, you are allocating nearly $1 million to the film industry, and I've seen many millions of dollars being allocated to other projects that are not nearly as critical to the overall well-being and safety of our city as substance abuse treatment. Rather than waiting on the state to fix this issue, it seems like perhaps the City Council needs to consider prioritizing substance abuse treatment over other projects, even if it means stopping the funding of other projects in order to save up the money needed for substance abuse treatment. Perhaps some of the COVID relief funds could be directed towards this, since a case could be made that substance abuse increased during the pandemic. It seems like the city needs to take a hard look at other projects to see where funding can be redirected. Las Cruces could pave the way in this by making a commitment to stop or reduce funding to some other areas until substance abuse is adequately handled. This would be responsible stewardship of the money that the City Council has been entrusted with for the good of this community. Las Cruces' children, families, and businesses are counting on you to make our community a safe place to live and work, and I urge you to prioritize substance abuse treatment. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else on that row? Okay, 7th row, 8th row, Rick. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, Council, I am Marta de la Viano Bierman. I live on the one-block street called Squaw Mountain Drive. This statement is about race baiting and race mongering. As a woman of 100% Mexican heritage, I am absurdly branded by race baiters and race mongers as a woman of color. Even though you can see I am white, I am genetically 32% Native American. I have lived on Squaw Mountain Drive for 16 years, and like my neighbors who include others of Mexican heritage and a Cherokee Indian, I do not want my street changed. Most of the residents told you that last year. The Cambridge Dictionary describes race baiting as the act of intentionally encouraging racism or anger about issues relating to race, often to get a political advantage. The example in the dictionary is in the sentence, they call him a race-baiting demagogue who tried to fan racial hatred. Wiki Dictionary defines racemonger as the one who causes or fuels racial or ethnic tensions, or one who often uses racial arguments or references in contexts where there are perceived to be less or not relevant. In the Washington Post reported on May 19th of 2016, 9 in 10 Native Americans in a survey said they are not offended by the Washington Redskins name. On August 10th, 2019, a new Washington Post survey found that Native Americans are more likely to be proud than offended by the name of the Washington Redskins. Nevertheless, organized subversive race baiters and race mongers succeeded in intimidating the Redskins owners to rename the team as the Washington Football Team. Race baiters and race mongers in the Las Cruces community, especially the City Council, should know that we are onto you and that you're going to be widely exposed for what you are now and at election time. By the way, some of you cite the name changing by the Secretary of Interior, Deb Haaland, as justification for what you do. Do you know that Holland is 50% Norwegian by her father? Where does Holland or the white city councilor get the right to tell Native Americans and others that they have to change the longstanding names because they are, quote, racist, unquote? Thank you.
Okay, so that was 7th row. Rick, did you? Mm-hmm. And the council does have your pictures that you had sent. So come on forward.
Hello, my name is Richard Renault, and now where are the pictures?
The council members, each one have
Oh, okay, you got them. All right.
There's a picture of Elizabeth Garrett and Apolinaria Gutierrez.
Apolinaria Gutierrez Garrett. What brought me here is, well, I'm following the same thinking as what they've been bringing up, changing history here. July 15th, 2019's Las Cruces City Council meeting, it really changed my life. I wasn't here, I saw it on video. It was so insulting to history. I studied it. I talked to people who were on the committee. Have you seen that meeting, the July 15th, 2019? I know Cassandra has, Pro Tem Ganda has. Have you guys seen the meeting? I think you guys really need to see the video of the July 15th, 2019 meeting renaming Motel Boulevard to Pat Garrett Boulevard. It didn't pass. Pat Garrett's wife, and so when I was doing research, it was like, how is that not authentic Las Cruces history? Pat Garrett's wife, Apolinaria Gutierrez Garrett, their daughter, Elizabeth Garrett, who wrote the state song. But now, it's like the city council decided they're not important. They're associated with that big, bad white guy with a big gun who murdered people for a living, even though he was a sheriff when he did it. And I don't like the characterization that Representative Vasquez and Councilor Flores gave to Messia. Basically, they said Messia was trinket salesman, enough hats, whistles, and bells of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. We don't need any more. I don't think we need any more. That's a direct quote from Gabe Vasquez. We see what's going on. We saw it at the school board, renaming Oñate High School. Just ignorance. And in the end, they named it Oregon Mountain High School. Well, Oñate's expedition named the organs Los Órganos. So you're back to where you started. So anyway, thank you.
That was the 7th row. Anyone else? Okay, 8th row, last row. Anyone else on my left? Okay, now I'm going to turn to the right. 1st row, anyone? 2nd row? 3rd? 4th? Randy, yeah, Randy McMillan.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilwomen. Before I start, I couldn't help but notice the condescension and the arrogance that I saw in many of our council people as people that you disagree with spoke. It was disgusting. Just like that look right there, your smile. It's disgusting. We're people too, okay? And we have feelings. And the way you sit up there in arrogance, and I want to compliment you, Mayor, you didn't. You listened. And Becky, you didn't either, and I appreciate that. I'm sorry? Councilor Duran. I'm sorry, Becky. Councilor Duran, I did not mean that as disrespect. Wow. I'm here to talk about another issue of homelessness in our community. But I couldn't help but see that, and I was amazed by it. This is an email I got from I'm a commercial real estate broker here in Las Cruces. This is an email I got from a client this past week. Just so you know and see what's going on, we now have incidents at 2 locations in Las Cruces. And it's even worse in Albuquerque. I tried to talk to the owner of our company about what's going on and about the property we were hoping to buy there in Las Cruces. And he's so fed up with this mess that he won't even consider it. And he said, well, I don't know why we own anything in New Mexico. You all asked for a job. You all asked to be elected. You said you had smarts, you said you had ideas, you said you had leadership abilities to fix our problems. You have completely failed on this issue. You have completely failed on this issue. Crime is worse, homelessness is far worse, and we have large investors telling us today they're not going to come to our market. I sent this email to the mayor and to the city manager, and I'm not sure which one of you did something, but one of you did, and I want to thank you for that, because he sent me another email that said, Randy, they did address the problem, but we're still not willing to come to Las Cruces at this time. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, or EPO. I'm not sure who did something, but you did respond, and I appreciate it. And I know my email to you was pretty tough. I've been accused of complaining and not having any ideas. My time is up. I would like for 45 seconds to read 8 ideas about the homelessness, please. 1, by the way, I say this in context of they just released a report today from California that spends more money than any state in the union, more money per capita than any state in the union. They're spending $100,000 per homeless person. And their problem is worse, so the answer is not money. 1, provide housing for those who are physically, mentally unable to work. Our current housing program, which are costing us between $200,000 and $300,000 per unit, is not the answer to this problem. It's making a lot of nonprofit people rich, but it's not creating the homes that we need. Do your math. $200,000 to $300,000 per unit for cracker box apartments is what we're spending. Did you know that? No, you didn't, because you didn't do the math. 2, require people to work and provide jobs for those people, doing work for the city that the city needs. And I know some of that's being done, but we need more of that to be done. 3, pay people a living wage and take half of that money.
Randy, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Your time's up.
Okay. I have 8 very good ideas here, and I hope they don't land on deaf ears. None of these ideas.
You can email them to me, I'll give them to the clerk, and then they can send it to the council.
None of these ideas have happened in California, and we've seen what has happened there.
Okay.
The answer is not throwing more money at it, and it is not looking down on people you disagree with smugness.
Okay, Randy,
disgusted.
Thank you. Okay, so that was the 4th row. Anyone else on the 4th row? 5th row? 6th row, George?
George Pearson. I came for an agenda item, but with the presentation from Las Esperanza, I want to speak to that. That idea goes directly to all the things that we've been talking about pedestrian traffic safety. The Amador corridor is way overbuilt, especially between Solano and Main Street. So looking at that as a project would be a great thing to do. You had Chuck Marone here 2 years ago, and one of his thoughts, the Strong Towns idea, is listen to the community for what they want. Well, you heard it. Then go and figure out what you can do, the smallest incremental thing that you can do. Then go do it, and then repeat the process. So addressing this issue is a good idea and needs to be included in the projects that we work towards. Thank you.
Thanks, George. No, I like the concept. I can't remember what street it's on, but there's a door that literally, if you were to walk out, you'd be right on, I guess it's Lumen. So I'll get with the representative, and maybe we'll get a little bit more schematics and let council see. I bring in Public Works and the city management team. So thanks. All right. So that was 5th row, 6th row. Anyone?
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Jennifer Garcia Kozlowski, Executive Director for Downtown Las Cruces Partnership. First, I want to say thank you for what you guys do. I know it's not easy, especially hearing us on a regular when we get up to complain, and so I do want to appreciate that you guys take the time and effort to listen to what we have to say. However, I'm here on a good note. I just want to be able to say that Downtown Las Cruces Partnership and our Las Cruces Arts and Cultural District is very supportive of the presentation that Mr. Lujan brought to you. We do see that something helping with the slowdown of traffic on Lumen and, Amador would be advantageous to our downtown district as well as to the Mesquite Historic District, to which you know the Arts and Culture District overlays. So we think that is a very important thing. That is all I have to say to you today, so thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, that was the 7th row. Anyone else? 8th row? Last row. Anyone else on my right? Okay, that'll end public participation, so we appreciate that. And next is, I have a closed meeting statement to read. So City Council met in closed session at 11:03 a.m., March 13, 2023. The following members were in attendance: Councilors Flores, Bencomo, Graham, Abeta, Gandara, and myself, Ken Miyagashima. Staff present was Ikani Tamopeo, Assistant City Manager, Sonia Delgado, Assistant City Manager, Barbara De Leon, Chief Administrative Officer, Jocelyn Garrison, Interim City Attorney, Miguel Dominguez, Chief Las Cruces Police Department. He left at 11:30 a.m. Haley R. Grant, Outside Attorney. She came in at 11:45 a.m. The meeting adjourned at 12:51 p.m. And for the record, Las Cruces City Council met in closed session to discuss the following: litigation regarding to Francisco Estrada versus City of Las Cruces, ETAL D 307-CV-2021-01309, which is closed pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H, number 7. Number 2, to discuss pending litigation related to NMPRC case numbers 19-00099-UT and 19-00348-UT and 21-0064-UT and 23-00046-UT, and potential New Mexico Supreme Court litigation regarding these NMPRC cases, which is closed pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H, number 7. The third one we discussed was pending litigation related to Robert Ramsey Jr. versus the City of Las Cruces, D-307-CV-2022-00406, which is closed pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H, number 7. And the last case was to discuss pending litigation related to Philip Sanfilippo versus the City of Las Cruces, D-307-CV-2021-02305, which is closed pursuant to NMSA 1978, Section 10-15-1H, number 7. Okay, so next is the motion to accept the agenda, and I believe council wants to remove item, I think it's the last.
7.3.
7.3, okay. So I need a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended with item 7.3 for discussion.
So moved, Graham.
Second, Abeta.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Graham, second by Councilor Abeta. Christine?
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented with removal of item 7.3 for discussion. Councilor Abeta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gandara?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Okay, item 7.3, Resolution 23-107. Need a motion and a second?
Move to approve.
Second, Graham.
Motion made by Councilor Abeta, second by Councilor Graham. And was there a specific question, Mayor Pro Tem, or did you want a full presentation?
I want a full presentation. I didn't know. Graham? Yeah.
Mr. Richard Hanway.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Richard Hadwin, for the record, Transit Manager. Council, Richard Hanway again. Today we're going to discuss the Roadrunner Transit Agency Safety Plan update. The FTA, which is where we get our funding, is requiring all urban systems of public transit to comply with an agency safety plan. They've required this since 2020. The plan is based on a safety management system, which has long been used by the airline industry. Most important reasons in the plan are to elevate importance of safety programs, improve the safety for riders and transit employees, improves confidence within the transit system, and makes good business sense. What is the SMS? The SMS is a formal top-down organization-wide approach to managing safety risk and assuring the effectiveness of a transit agency's safety risk mitigation. The safety management system does include everybody from the city manager all the way down to frontline employees. It is something that we have been implementing since 2020. This plan is just an update to that 2020 plan. What it does, it brings management and labor together in the process. It detects and corrects safety problems earlier, shares and analyzes safety data more effectively, measures safety performance more carefully and systematically. The first version, again, was approved by City Council in December of 2020. In 2021, FTA added additional requirements to the plan. Basically, they were requiring frontline employees to be more involved in the plan development, which included the addressing of infectious diseases, of course, was driven by COVID. And the updated safety targets to be updated as needed by the agency or at least reviewed annually. Roadrunner Transit staff also clarified procedures in the plan, and FTA requires City Council approval for this update. This is a graph of some of the safety targets. A lot of them, they probably are not necessarily spelled out too much. Fatalities, of course, is one that stands out. Unfortunately, Fixed Route has had a fatality. We have had one in our existence since 1986. This is based on fiscal year 18 to fiscal year 22. This also includes dial-a-ride. Fatalities, the VRM is vehicle revenue miles, is what that stands for. So we kind of measure it on how many miles that we're putting out in service. So if we have 13 vehicles, 13 buses on 13 different routes, we count each mile, and that's how we get the vehicle revenue miles. Basically, we do about 500,000 miles a year on Fixed Route and about 200,000 on dial-a-ride. So that kind of gives you an idea of where the numbers are coming from. So the 4 required plan elements, the first is safety management policy. That they require us to have a written policy, a policy statement, describe how it's shared, and define key staff roles. Number 2 is safety risk management, identifying safety risk and assessing risk and risk mitigation. Safety assurance is monitoring and measuring effectiveness of the agency safety plan and modifying plan as needed. And 4 is safety promotion, which is safety training and training documentation and ensuring employee buy-in. And I will stand for questions.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Mayor Pro Tem, and then Councilor Graham, or Councilor Graham.
Hi, all right, thank you so much for this. I just had a couple of questions, and forgive me if I missed it in reading over the plan. I was most focused on the driving training and if you have annual testing, or it looked like it said that there was a performance observation requirement. Can you just tell me a little bit, if there is annual testing, what does that entail? Just kind of walk me through a year in the life of a giant bus driver.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor, Councilor Graham. First, we have a training coordinator that is on staff full-time. So she does a lot of ride-alongs. We do a lot of video review. We also have annual training with the city with defensive driving, but we also do internal training. And she's doing this ongoing. So we look at video to see if there's anything that could be corrected, or if there's been reports, things like that, where we could improve, basically. So that's an ongoing thing, and it is documented. in our safety plan and internally.
Okay, great. And FTA, is that also an agency that sanctions training? I'm going to look to you, Chief Smith, as the spouse of somebody who drives a giant city vehicle, just a different kind. I know National Fire Protective Agency, NFPA, has some standards that we follow for fire apparatus drivers. Can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, Councilor Graham, Fire Chief Jason Smith. So we follow guidance from the National Fire Protection Agency, NFPA, 1002 on professional qualifications for driver operator. And we also have our internal requirements for being certified to operate an engine or a truck or even our squad. So that requires, just to get into the program, 10 hours of drive time, 5 hours of actually operating the pump, followed by an 80-hour course, 4 hours of certified emergency vehicle operator training to become certified. And then every year you have to do the CEVO course, the emergency vehicle operator course, as well as an over-the-road and an obstacle course. You have to have passing scores on those, or else you enter into remedial training. And then once you have your certification to be promoted to driver operator, it's a similar test with pumping evaluations and an obstacle course, as well as a clean driving record.
Great, thank you so much. And also, I reached out as well to Utilities Director Widmer. I was, because solid waste collection trucks also came into mind when I was thinking about large city vehicles that spend a lot of time on the road, and she graciously shared with me some of the annual training requirements. So would you say it's pretty comparable? Because it's amazing how many miles are put on the road by our buses and Dial-A-Ride. Would you say it's a comparable amount of training?
Mayor, Councilor Graham, I would say that every place is a little bit different. Fire, of course, they have a lot of regulations. We deal with a lot of people. So we have like wheelchair training, we have sensitivity training, we do American with Disabilities training. There's a lot of more people focus that we do, and we do it customer service. Those things are first and foremost. But the driving, not all drivers do have a CDL. The Dial-A-Ride drivers, they're not required to have that, but the large buses, they are CDL holders. So yes, they have to follow the DOT rules. FTA for us is the Federal Transit Administration, which is part of the DOT. It's where we get our federal funding from. So they do have a lot of regulations, as you can see with the Safety Transit Plan, that they require us to do reporting on, to make sure that we're not only staying in compliance, but that we're also reporting to what's called the National Transit Database. They collect all this information from all agencies all over the United States, so they can use that information to gear policy and actually help with funding if there's certain things. There's a lot of things that are coming up right now are driver assaults. And they weren't really categorizing them before, but it's become a national issue now, so they're having us do a lot more in-depth reporting on what type of assaults and things like that, and how they can mitigate that risk. So.
Great, thank you so much. That provides clarity, and I appreciate the perspective on, it's a customer service position, and you've got customers right there around you all the time. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you so much, Richard. I appreciate the presentation. I'm looking at it from a litigious standpoint, right, and thinking about how our peak performance is connected to this. If the plan is electronic in version where you're updating it electronically, if when people are making complaints about safety, are those done in writing? Where is it followed electronically, so you're keeping track? I'm interested in those things. And there was some language in there that I called it Connie earlier and said I'm a little concerned about the language, what to report, what not to report, that kind of thing, how to report. And so if you can just sort of talk to me about those things.
Yes, Mayor, Council, Mayor Pro Tem Gandara. So yes, we do have it documented. We have a SharePoint site that we share internally with risk management, who's part of our safety plan as well, and internal staff. We do invite frontline staff, drivers in particular, to sit in with these meetings so they can give feedback to us. But yes, we document all of them. We rate them on the severity of the incident. Again, we don't look at just accidents, we look at them as incidents or an occurrence. It might not be a problem today, but it could be in the future. So we have to do risk mitigation and try to measure these things. If it's going to happen again, how can we deter that from happening? Is it something that we can live with? I'll give you a good example, hitting the mirror on a bus when it stops on the side of the road. It happens a lot. It's not a danger to the driver so much, but it's something that happens, but it's also the nature of the business that we do when we're stuck in the right lane and picking up people at the bus stop and people try to get around you on the 3-lane Lumen, I guess. So, but
I know that gave you like, a little concern, right?
There's 3 travel lanes and then there's a 4th lane for the bus, which is the right lane, right?
Yeah.
So, but yes, it is documented, and as far as the reporting part of it, I don't have the plan in front of me to give you where it speaks to what not to report, but I could speak about that because, again, this is a safety plan, and it's not a plan that's driven about service. So we want to focus on what that safety aspect of it is. And there's nothing that cannot be reported on that when it comes to safety. It could be a pothole that we might have to report to a different department if it's going to affect somebody's ability to access the bus stop. So those types of things are what we want to focus on in the safety plan. But this document is not necessarily for us to change service or add service somewhere. That's not what.
No, I get that. I understand it was a safety plan specific for employees to be able to report the conditions, right, that they may think are unsafe. That also includes, so I guess I'm looking for, is there a platform, an electronic platform that you're reporting on, that someone is keeping track of those and ensuring, like you said, if it's going to, maybe this one thing will mitigate the issue, but what if it takes accumulation of many things, right, to really become a hazardous situation? Who is keeping track of that? And if you do have a platform of sorts, what is it? Is it just SharePoint, and a human person is keeping track of that? Does it even exist, like some electronic app or something? Does that exist in this world?
We have it on a spreadsheet that we keep as a safety group. We have safety meetings. We have one that's internal, and then we have one that is for all staff. But we keep all the records of it. All the meetings are on record. But every incident that is reported is recorded on that.
Okay.
And we are required to update the city manager on a quarterly basis. So he does get that, and we do have the ability to get that information to you if you want it sooner.
I'm just wanting to see how the information is collected and sort of reviewed. And I'm thinking Ikani and other municipalities might have some electronic sort of tracking system, if you will, that could be more helpful than a spreadsheet, right, through SharePoint. I mean, I don't know that, but I'm assuming some of our larger municipalities might have something like that we could invest in that would help. Just for tracking purposes, and then being able to communicate with the federal and like MPO, other places that you should be tracking, right? Because they're asking you to keep track of this. And so I'm wanting to see if maybe the city could do some research around that. I am concerned that we're doing it by Excel spreadsheet. I think there's probably a different mechanism in play that's out there. I mean, we'd have to pay for it, but I think this is important to me because I think it just helps us manage more effectively. And I think, let me and then if your staff is reporting things, can they do that and remain anonymous?
Mayor Pro Tem Gondar, absolutely. We have drop boxes that are locked that they can put stuff in if they would like. We also have a hotline set up with risk management that they can report as well. But we do encourage them to not only just participate in the meetings, but even just with their supervisors. Again, we have a really good group of folks, and we like to keep that open door policy to handle things as a group. Because if they're bringing stuff up and they're on the road, they want help now. They don't want to deal with it next week or
Right,
what have you.
absolutely.
So, but there is anonymous ways for them to report.
Now, is this just for the internal staff, or how are external folks reporting that? I noticed there's that number, the local number, if you will. There's that 1-800 if they want to make a anonymous complaint. Where is that posted, and how available is that for folks to know, to be aware of that they can do that?
Mayor Pro Tem Gondara, again, we have it on our website. We post it on Facebook.
Okay.
We also have it posted at the Intermodal Center where people go to get information. They can call it in. We also have formal ways that they can, report things, whether it's ADA concerns or just regular concerns by the public. So we have those forms available.
Thank you,
with staff.
Richard. Thank you. I appreciate you answering the questions. And again, if we can do some of that research, I'm imagining there's more of a different way, right, to capture this information electronically. That because people leave, you have management that could be retiring. I mean, how are you keeping track of those things, even if the person leaves, right? I mean, I'm just feeling like we need to have a different mechanism. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other comments from council? How about members of the public? Okay, seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-107. Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Next item, 8.1, Resolution 23-108.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion made by Councilor Beta, second by Councilor Graham, and Jan Lauterbach will be presenting.
Apparently my glasses aren't very good.
No. I think you got the
Where did I
wrong
close
one.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he closed it. Sorry.
8.2. No, excuse me, 8.1. I apologize. There you go.
Sorry for the delay. My name is Jan Lauterbach. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. Jan Lauterbach with the Housing and Neighborhood Services section of the City Manager's Office. The resolution before you is for the approval of a home investment partnership or home program agreement between the city and Tierra del Sol Housing Corporation for affordable housing. Home funds are monies that the city receives from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. They must be used for affordable housing. Through our council-approved annual action plans, Tierra del Sol was allocated $295,000 to be used for single-family development. Funding will be used to offset Tierra del Sol's eligible construction expenses on 10 homes in the Metro Verde planned unit development, specifically in Metro Park Village Phase 4 subdivision. The homes will be sold to households working through Tierra del Sol's Home Ownership Center program to become homeowners with qualified household incomes earning less than 80% of area median income. Currently, that figure for the city of Las Cruces for a household size of 4 is $48,400. The funding will provide an effect for a direct reduction in the sales price to the homes to the homeowners, which will reduce their mortgage amount, making the home more affordable. And the city will file a lien on each property with the homeowner that provides that the home will remain owner-occupied affordable housing for a minimum of 10 years. This is a map of the subject property. And it's located again in the Metro Verde PUD in Metro Park Village Phase 4, east of Sonoma Ranch Road, near Monte Vista Elementary and the nearby Mesa Middle School, and also close to the Metro Verde splash pads. The properties here in red, located on Bolero and Vega roads. And with that, I have your standard council options, and I stand for questioning. And I also have Rose Garcia, the Executive Director of Tierra del Sol, here in the audience if there's any additional questions.
Thanks, Jan. Councilor Bencomo?
Mayor, I don't have any questions. I just, again, want to say how proud I am of this project. I think it's really exciting. I think it, like I said a couple of weeks ago, will help build wealth for so many folks who right now are not in a position to. I mean, I would love to hear from Rose just any additional thoughts, honestly, on this project and what it could mean moving forward.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and City Council women and the staff of Community Development. Thank you very much for placing us on the agenda.
Excuse me, I need you to state your name, Rose. I know.
I'm sorry. It's Rose Garcia with Tierra del Sol Housing Corporation. We're a nonprofit organization that's been around for 50 years. So we've been building a lot of housing into the city and the county. And so, but I thank you for considering this money to be moved into this subdivision. As you know, in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been very challenging for affordable housing. And in your plans, you have thousands of families that need homes. And these are all the working families primarily that have a variety of jobs, you know, and they're, at least half of them are single parent. And it's a struggle to try to get a home at the price that they can afford. And so this additional money can offset some of the costs. And there are some that are a little bit higher income, but up to the $45,000 that Jan says is still makes it very difficult. With we've had 3 or 4 interest rate increases with the banks. And so every day, there's a challenge to housing for homeownership. The families will be doing some of the self-help, a little bit of labor, and so they will be building wealth. After a 30-year mortgage, and we have no defaults. For many years, we've been building through this program, and so families think nothing. They're young families, many of them, or those that have family members contribute their labor. But I think that we really appreciate that the city has worked with us, your community development and engineering, so that we can design a house that's modest as well as being able to be affordable. So this is something that this is just one more project that we're bringing you. We have 2 others, and the others will have some parks in them. So,
thank you, Ms. Garcia. I just felt important to hear from the folks on the front lines of affordable housing, and you've been doing it for such a long time, and you do it well. So I wanted to just thank you.
Thank you very much, and for the committee that you you invite us regularly for affordable housing. So we were able to solve some of our issues. And so I really encourage you to work not only with us, but other developers to try to find solutions, because the city has such a need for not only home ownership, but rental housing as well as housing rehab. So.
Very, very good. Thank you for that information. Councilor Coran?
I just want to say thank you for bringing this forward in my district. I'm so excited to have to be able to see these families at the splash pad in the summer. So thank you again for bringing this forward, and we're really lucky to have partners like you. I hope we can expand that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're very fortunate with Mr. Moscato, who was the major developer of the subdivision. And so through the city, we were able to negotiate through you all. And so we were able to put an enclave of affordable units, because most of the homes around, if you walk around that subdivision, it's pretty high end. So, but that's not the typical subdivision that we build in, but this is a good opportunity to include the affordable families.
Very good, thank you. Any comments from members of the public? Mayor Pro Tem Archuleta, and then Randy McMillan. We have up to 4 minutes. And if you could just state your name, please.
Mayor Dolores Archuleta. I'm speaking as a Mayor Pro Tem Emeritus, and I highly, highly approve of Rosa. When I was in the City Council, I would love to see the maps of where she built quality products. So highly, highly approve that. Thank you.
My name again is Randy McMillan, and I sat on the board for low-income housing NMFA for 5 years. And I watched project after project come across our desk. And I was asked by our current governor to step down because I shone the light of day on what we were spending per unit on those projects. One of which was Pecos Street that we did here. I don't know if you know it, but we spent $190,000 a unit there for a 300 square foot efficiency apartment. And it wasn't a new build, it was a rehab, a remodel for $190,000 per unit, almost $400 a square foot. I was angry about that. I'm a commercial real estate broker. I build things like this. I know what they cost. They don't cost anywhere near that. I looked at what the developer was making. I looked at what the contractor was making. I looked at what the so-called nonprofit was making, and it was unbelievable. I have stayed here because I want to support this project. I saw project after project come across our desk up there, and Rose's project were continually reasonable. She was building 3-bedroom homes with 2-car garages that people would own for less than we spent on the Pecos Street efficiency apartments. That is a fact. Check me out. And that's why I'm no longer on that board. I was asked to step down by our current governor because they didn't want people knowing that fact. Rose does an amazing job. She's building 50 houses in Viano right now. All of the people that own those homes will spend about 1,000 hours building their house. And some of those homes are 10 and 12 years old that they did before this current subdivision. And if you drive those streets, you could eat off of them. Their landscaping is nice. Everything is nice. And you know why? It's because we didn't give it to them. They worked for it. Every one of those homeowners spent time and effort in those homes, and they care about them. They cost 2/3 of what we're spending for apartments, and after 10 years, they're in great shape. So, Rose, thank you I've watched you over the years and what you've done in our community and on that board, and you truly do care. And she truly is a nonprofit that cares. So thank you.
Thank you. Randy, anybody else?
That's the other reason I stayed is because I left my phone on.
Okay. All right, if there's no other further comments, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-108. Councilor Beta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondara?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, item 8.2 is a public hearing. Let me just say, I'm going to run this portion of the this part here, but I'll be abstaining because of Solano being included in there, okay? So public, let's see, it's 2:40, so the public hearing is now on. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make any public comments regarding the findings and determinations regarding the Metropolitan Redevelopment Code and designating the El Paseo and South Solano and West Picacho Metropolitan Redevelopment areas? Okay, seeing none, so it's 2:41. The public hearing is now closed, and so I entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 23-109.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilor Abeyta, second by Councilor Bencomo. Chris Favor will be making the presentation.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. I'll be introducing our consultants from Groundworks who will be making the presentation, and I'll be available for questions after. Real quick, everyone knows we've been working on MRA designations in the infill for the last several months. The resolution here today is to approve 2 areas that the consultants are recommending. I will turn it over to Amy Bell and Marin Neldam. And I just wanted to mention that you should have a packet of maps and some other charts that are in the presentation, but they're a little hard to see on the screen. So when you come to one of those, you can follow along in your packet. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
My name is Amy Bell. I'm a principal landscape architect with Groundwork Studio. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Thank you so much for having us here today to present on this proposed Metropolitan Redevelopment Area designation. Today, we're going to be giving an overview of the MRA assessment and designation process to provide relevant and required information for the adoption of the resolution to designate 2 metropolitan redevelopment areas, the El Paseo and South Solano MRA and the West Picacho MRA. Our presentation will cover the benefits of metropolitan redevelopment areas, public outreach conducted as part of the assessment, the MRA assessment process, boundaries for the proposed MRAs, as well as the justification and rationale for designation. So the designation of an MRA and the subsequent MRA plan gives the local municipality increased flexibility to support private redevelopment projects without violating the state's anti-donation clause. Designation demonstrates the commitment of the city to invest within the proposed areas and take steps towards the implementation of aspects of the future development program outlined in the Elevate Las Cruces Comprehensive Plan. The MRA assessment and data analysis, public outreach, and MRA designation report have been completed. The designation report, which is attached to the resolution, provides the justification for MRA designation required by New Mexico statute. Today, we're recommending the adoption of the El Paseo and South Solano MRA and the West Picacho MRA designation. During the assessment process, we hosted 2 hybrid information sessions, one in the morning of and one in the evening of January 5th. At the info sessions, we provided an overview of metropolitan redevelopment areas and very preliminary data analysis. There were approximately 50 attendees. On January 23rd, we presented designation recommendations for the El Paseo and South Solano MRA at the regular council work session, which led to the addition of the proposed West Picacho MRA. These recommendations were presented at 2 open houses, and feedback from these open houses was integrated into the designation report. We're now going to provide an overview of the MRA assessment process. The city's infill development overlay district was used as a general study area for the assessment of MRA conditions. Adjacent areas that exhibited key designation criteria were also considered. Preliminary analysis revealed that the majority of the study area does meet criteria for MRA designation. To adequately focus redevelopment incentives, it's important to focus on smaller sub-areas within the IDO for designation. An extensive analysis of city planning documents, zoning and land use, and social and economic data was conducted to identify sub-areas within the IDO for further assessment. These areas included neighborhood planning areas, which are places with defined boundaries and adopted plans, such as the El Paseo Neighborhood Planning Area, and additional focus areas were identified through the assessment process as exhibiting higher levels of the designation criteria. Areas assessed are listed here. MRA designation is based on findings of quote-unquote blight. We don't love that word, but it's what's in the statute. Conditions as defined by the Metropolitan Redevelopment Code. The criteria set by the code for quote-unquote blight designation includes some of the following physical and socioeconomic conditions: substantial number of deteriorated or deteriorating structures, defective or inadequate street layout, unsanitary or unsafe conditions, lack of adequate housing, low levels of commercial or industrial activity. These conditions can pose a threat to health, safety, and welfare of the public. We utilized standard socioeconomic and physical indicators used by cities and researchers to assess the presence of and community impacts of blight conditions. The physical conditions assessed included areas with high levels of vacant property, concentrations of unoccupied commercial properties, abandoned buildings, deteriorating infrastructure, and other indicators listed here. Areas that suffer from these types of physical indicators tend to disproportionately affect low-income communities and vulnerable populations. So in MRA assessment, it is standard to also look at social and economic indicators such as low, medium household income, high levels of households below poverty level, high unemployment rates, high renter population, aging housing stock, low medium home value, and various other socioeconomic conditions. Based on the requirements of the New Mexico Metropolitan Redevelopment Statute, the whole infill development overlay area could be designated as an MRA. The El Paseo and South Solano area has the greatest number of key indicators, and West Picacho exhibited most of those key indicators as well. And I'm going to hand it over to Maren to talk a little bit about the designation recommendations.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm Maren Neldon with Groundwork Studio.
If you would just talk directly into the mic, I appreciate it. You can move it down if you like. Yeah, adjust it to you. There you go.
Can you hear me okay? All right. So 2 areas are being proposed for MRA designation by adoption of the resolution today. Both the proposed El Paseo and South Solano MRA and the proposed West Picacho MRA exhibit a combination of factors that justify MRA designation. The areas demonstrate low levels of commercial activity or redevelopment, high levels of vacant and underutilized properties, deteriorating buildings, missing or deteriorating public infrastructure, unsafe and unhealthy conditions, high unemployment and low income levels, and lack of adequate housing. This map shows the location of the two proposed MRAs in relation to the IDO study area. El Paseo and South Solano is shown in blue, and West Picacho is shown in orange. You can reference the full-size maps in the packet provided. The proposed El Paseo and South Solano MRA is approximately 1.78 square miles and expands the El Paseo neighborhood planning area boundary to include the South Solano Drive corridor to the east. The area is bound by street-facing parcels along East Lumen Ave to the north, South Main Street to the west, approximately 1 block off East University Ave to the south, and approximately 1 block off South Solano Drive to the east to incorporate commercial and multifamily residential parcels along the mixed-use corridor. The El Paseo and South Solano MRA has 3 north-south corridors, South Main Street, El Paseo Road, and South Solano Drive, which connect the downtown MRA with New Mexico State University. The area provides opportunity for infill redevelopment of commercial, industrial, and higher density parcels along these mixed-use corridors. MRA designation can help address the issue of vacant, underutilized, and deteriorating properties through incentives to private investors for commercial revitalization and affordable housing redevelopment. The area has an extensive community planning history, and designation aligns with the goals of the Elevate Las Cruces comprehensive plan. The proposed West Picacho MRA is approximately 1.17 square miles and is anchored by West Picacho Ave. The area extends to 1 parcel south of West Hadley Ave between North Motel Boulevard and North Valley Drive. This includes vacant commercial and industrial properties along the corridor. On West Hadley Ave between North Valley Drive and the rail line, the boundary meets the northern boundary of the Amador Proximo neighborhood planning area, which is an adopted planning boundary. The boundary extends to Tashiro Drive at the north to contain large vacant properties. In the northeast, it extends to McClure to include a large city property in need of revitalization. The proposed West Picacho MRA is anchored by the West Picacho Ave Regional Commercial Corridor, which is an important gateway to Las Cruces from the east. The area provides a unique opportunity for affordable housing creation through the retrofitting of or redevelopment of numerous declining motel properties. There has been extensive community outreach with residents and business owners along West Picacho Ave, and this recommendation, the inclusion of West Picacho, came out of the council work session on January 23rd. Importantly, this MRA designation, followed by the MRA planning process, will support alignment with the future development program outlined in the Elevate Las Cruces comprehensive plan. It will also help ensure that future growth in both of these MRAs follows the city's intended intensity, character, and mix of land uses in the area. The proposed El Paseo and South Solano MRA is classified as an urban neighborhood. It contains 3 north-south mixed-use corridors which connect the downtown to NMSU. It also has 3 neighborhood centers at key intersections. The MRA plan can assist the city in achieving the goals of increasing density and developing walkable mixed-use activity centers that provide local employment, shopping, and entertainment opportunities and provide a diverse mix of residential living options. The proposed West Picacho MRA contains a mix of place types, including a regional commercial area along the West Picacho mixed-use corridor, suburban neighborhood, and business park and industrial. The MRA plan can assist the city in achieving its goals in this area of expanding regional commercial activity, as well as employment opportunities and diversifying housing options. So once the MRA boundaries and designation report have been adopted, the city will be able to pursue a planning process which will outline community vision for revitalization and identify specific redevelopment strategies, projects, and programs that are appropriate to each area. To access the tools available in an MRA, the city will need to adopt the MRA plans for each area by resolution. Thank you for your time today. That concludes our presentation.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Councillor Abeyta and Councillor Graham.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm, of course, very excited to see this types of progress. One of the first items that myself and Councillor Bencomo were assigned to was the El Paseo Ad Hoc Committee, which looked at the need for that development and revitalization. When we first made those boundaries way back, almost 4 years ago, one of the things that I know that I was really pushing for to be included was the boundary to go all the way up to University, right on our side of the line. And so when I look at this and I see the boundary for the El Paseo area, and there is a bit of a gap between that and University, I'm just curious to see where that is going to fit in and come to play because it was also an area that needed to see that revitalization.
Yeah, so the proposed boundary for El Paseo, thank you, Councilor Abeyta. The proposed...
Please state your name again for the record.
This is Marin Neldum. Yeah, so the proposed El Paseo and Sao Solano boundary was based on the existing neighborhood planning area boundary. And so the southern boundary extended that to just east of Sao Solano Drive. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I think maybe this is just for us to kind of look at and think of in the future. I just want to make sure that we don't have those gaps because those neighborhoods right in between that line of the university and El Paseo still are seeing the very same problems as right across the street, you know. And so as we move forward, that's just something that I want to make sure. But I'm very excited to see this area and these next steps that we can work on for the redevelopment. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. So to be clear, let me do point of, is it included or not in the map? And couldn't we include it? Is that what you're proposing?
Well, if we could, I say
we
yes.
We could, because we're council. I bet we could do that.
I would say pull it right up to the edge of university like we had during our boundaries for the El Paseo Ad Hoc Committee.
Chris?
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Abeyta, this is Chris Favor with Economic Development. So there's a couple ways you could go with this process. You could not vote for this right now, and then we have to come back and do it again, or through the MRA planning process, if it's recommended through the public engagement to extend those boundaries, you could always amend those boundaries at that time.
Thank you. And I would rather amend. I don't want to delay any sort of progress, so I would rather just amend for that.
Thank you, Chris and Councilor Abeyta. Councilor Graham.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you so much for not just the presentation today, but for the excellent work on this. And I say this to all city staff and everyone involved. The point that Councilor Abeyta made is so important. You know, when we look at these lines on a map, you know, obviously recognizing that that which is outside the line isn't necessarily fine, and that we need to continue our commitment. This is not the last step, this is the first step. And I appreciate, Councilor, that reminder. I don't really have any questions, I'm just excited, so I was just gonna talk a little bit. And the designation report was so interesting to me because it made me drive around this area and see it through such new eyes. And I think some of it felt very familiar when I was hearing it, but I'd never thought about how the size of parking lots affects something as fundamental as walkability. And you know, yeah, man, there are giant parking lots out there, and I just hadn't even paid attention. And then I think I've reached an age where as soon as something is gone, I completely forget that it ever existed. I always made fun of my parents for that because they'd call stores by names that the stores were like 50 years ago, and I'm like, oh, okay, boomer. That's me now. And recognizing how many gas stations used to be in this area and how important it is to commit to the environmental studies for possible brownfield designation, because I moved here in 2000, and yeah, there were a ton of gas stations that aren't there anymore, but that doesn't mean that they are erased from our environment. So all that to say, I'm old, and thank you for an absolutely wonderful report. Much appreciated. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilor Graham. You're not old. Moving right along.
Thank you.
Councilor Bicomo.
Thank you, and thank you for being here again with us for this presentation. I also don't really have a lot of questions because I think we've really hashed this out through a couple work sessions at this point, I think, but I wanted to say how proud I am of that we're here today, and that I'm I'm a big old sap, and so while I was reading this, I was like almost crying, which is just so silly because you're like an MRA. What is so emotional about that? But I think it's the reality that I'm looking at these pictures, and these communities just need love and investment, more importantly. And to me, you know, I pushed for West Picacho to be included so much because of all of the engagement we had done already, because I had built all these relationships with people who have, you know, put their like blood, sweat, and tears into this area, and they don't want to leave, right? They don't want to go somewhere else fancier and newer. They want to stay. They want to see it revitalized as it once was. And so I'm very excited about the engagement that we've done to get here. And similarly to Councilor Abeyta, just thinking about when we first started talking about this several years ago, and now being here feels really, really exciting. And I'm excited for the next steps, especially. I also, you know, I did notice that on the brownfield issue that there wasn't that study for the West Picacho area. And I'm certain, as the report said, that there are probably some of those areas. So maybe that is my question. I am curious if that comes next, if that is a necessity that we have to do, or if that's something that we do once somebody is looking at a property like Brewer's Oil, for example. Like, it's outside of this, but I knew that that was an area that was potentially a brownfield. So I am curious in terms of how we go about that.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Bencomo. The MRA designation and planning process does not require any brownfield or environmental assessment, but there are some really great tools that are available through the state, through NMAD, that pair really nicely with the tools enabled by MRA designation.
Yeah, absolutely. I just can't say it enough how excited I am that we're here and what this could really mean for both of these areas. One of which, part of El Paseo, South Solano will no longer be in District 4 after next year. So, but right now it is. So I think I'm excited to be leading both of these moving forward. And then I think it's important and relevant that right now I'm really hoping that either Chris or Elizabeth speak on the MRA legislation that was put forth this year at the state legislature that is on the governor's desk currently, and just how much of a win, like how big of a win that is, and I think to allow us to celebrate those really huge moments.
Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Bencomo, I'm happy to speak on it, but since we have an expert witness here with us, I think I'll let Ms. Teeters speak on this one.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council.
Elizabeth, will you state your name for the record?
I'm not used to being up here. I'm Elizabeth Teeters, Economic Development Director for the record. I was fortunate enough to be the expert witness throughout the entire process for the MRA the MRA state statute changes. And as of last week, it passed on the House floor. And what it will do is it creates a tax increment district for the potential of a tax increment district for each MRA designation within the state. And you'll have to go through a separate process, but it's potentially both at the local and the state level. So that just needs governor's signature.
Thank you. I just want to do a huge clap for city staff and Elizabeth for leading on that issue, for being an expert on that issue, for really taking it on and seeing it for what it is, incredibly valuable for blighted areas in our community. So I am incredibly excited to jump into the next step after today. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bencomo. I'll just say lastly, I've appreciated Chris and our consultants coming in, and Elizabeth for all the work. Shortly after we had that first meeting, a regular council meeting, I had a group of people from the Mesquite Historic District, many of who you heard from today, very concerned about not involving the Mesquite Historic District as part of the MRA, especially because of how difficult the maps were in terms of reading them. But there is a portion, little sliver there of the South Mesquite Historic District that is included in that, and they were really happy about it. But I would like to advocate, and I say this publicly because I said that I would, and I believe that they've been working on this kind of designation for decades. And I'd like to have this third in line for the MRA. Next is the Mesquite Historic District, and at least I have it on record that I said that, Chris, and to the consultants. I think it just benefits that area, especially considering they're an arts and cultural district, and just all the wonderful things that are happening in the area. I think it would really lift that area up. So appreciate the time. Okay, Christine, I think we're ready. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any public comment? Good catch, right? As we're waiting for Ms. Moore to come down, don't rush. No rush. Yeah, I wouldn't want that. Hi, Debbie.
Debbie Moore, President and CEO of the Greater Las Cruces Chamber of Commerce, Mayor Pro Tem and councilors. It was my privilege and an honor to be behind our expert witness for several of the hearings up there. We actually made it through the House and the Senate, I think, with just one no, and it was pretty incredible. I'm very proud to say from a statewide, if you look at the sponsors of the bill, they represented 3 communities, which I had the privilege and opportunity of serving as director or president, which would be Hobbs, Rio Rancho, and most importantly, Las Cruces. So to say the Chamber is not supporting of this, we are totally behind this. Another tool in our toolbox, not only for Las Cruces, but for our state. This is incredible news for all of us, and I'm very proud to have been a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. Christine, for the vote? Yeah, thank you.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-109. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
And the mayor has abstained.
Okay, thank you. Next up is, let me get myself in order here. Resolution number 23-110, resolution approving a pre-development agreement between the City of Las Cruces and Sierra Norte landholders. I need a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Abeyta, second by Councilor Curran. Hi, Tony.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. Tony Trevino, the Assistant Director for Public Works.
I was like,
Mayor, do you want me to get started, or do I wait? Okay.
Yeah, please.
Great.
sorry, Tony. I feel a little discombobulated, but yes, please.
No worries. Again, Tony Trevino for the record. So here today to go over a presentation that we gave to City Council last year. This is a Mesa Grande Drive extension. This is just for a pre-development agreement. As I mentioned back in May 9th of 2022, Sierra Norte, along with their consultant, the Goodman Group, presented to the city the kind of the framework they approach the city with for the approach of the planning, design, and the pursuit of funding, federal funding for the allocation of a local match and the allocation of the local match. What I mean to say there is they came to the city and are willing to provide all the preliminary design, the planning, the right-of-way research, and all the legwork to apply for the federal funding. And if we do get it, they're also going to put up the local match for the city to acquire these grants. So this is just for the development and preliminary design of the Mesa Grande Drive. As you can see here, the project limits. It goes from Highway 70 on the north side down south to Lumen Avenue, which is a 4-lane between Solano and Maine. Sorry. So this is that extension, as well as that extension, which is, I'll get into it further, where it lies in the Elevate Las Cruces. They're also going to tie the east-west roads, which is Northrise Drive up on top right here by the 27, section 27, Calle Hitas, which is another collector within the Sonoma Ranch area, Sedona Hills, and Sonora Springs Avenue. We're going to be complete those major collectors, minor arterials to Mesa Grande on the east side, as well as the extension of Lumen Avenue. Right now, Lumen ends at the Walmart right there on Lumen, and it's going to extend that to the east to tie into this roadway. Next slide. Sorry. So here is where Mesa Grande falls within the Elevate Las Cruces comprehensive plan. It is a minor arterial. It is included in the map 1.4, the future thoroughfare map for the city of Las Cruces. As you can see here on the right, it's this kind of purple bluish dotted line, and it extends from Highway 70 down, following the same alignment to Lumen on the south. As also in discussions with the developer, to meet and be in alignment with Elevate Las Cruces. As you can see here, the table 1.9 for major thoroughfare characteristics includes the medians, bikeways, transit, roadside. All the amenities that are required by Elevate is going to be the pedestrian, the bicyclist, separated lanes by medians that are landscaped with trees. So as you can see here on the left, we have the cross section, which is a 120-foot right-of-way. And I think we kind of all had a little game we played during the budget retreat for the CIP. So this is kind of the project that we were dealt with. We had businesses or houses right along the right-of-way. They wanted separated bike lanes as well as walkways, 2 lanes in each direction. So this is kind of shows how we can modify to meet the traffic requirements as well as accommodate all modes of transportation. And this will be throughout the entire project, so this won't be piecemeal. The landscaping will be done at the full time, so it'll be a full development from the beginning to the end. It's also in the long-range transit plan. As you can see here, I try to do a little diamond polygon shape, whatever you want to call it, but shows the Callejitas in the intersection with Mesa Grande as candidates for high-frequency local bus. Also a transfer point located at Mesa Grande and Callejitas for this intersection. This is part of their future transit plans, corridors. Like I mentioned before, this is just for a pre-development agreement. So this agreement right now is just for 3 years from the date of execution. This allows us to allows the developer to do the planning, preliminary design, to actually prepare all the documentation for us to apply for these federal grants. If nothing's done within 3 years, we have the opportunity to either extend it if we hear more grants coming on for more opportunities, or terminate it based on progress and status, how everything's going. So at the 3-year mark, we can come back and either terminate or extend this agreement. Also, if federal funding is obtained by this grant, the city and the developer will further define roles and responsibilities in a development agreement. So this will go to define, okay, the full design, the construction management, the local share match, the project administration, because there will be federal funding and the additional auditing and so forth for that kind of project will be defined at that point. The developer, these are just some key responsibilities. They're going to be at their sole expense, the planning, preliminary design, engineering, and other project-related activities that are required for them to submit an application to the feds or to the federal government or whoever is going to administer these grants. They will also be working with the state and BLM to secure the rights-of-ways in this area. For the city, just some of the responsibilities we have is just that we're going to be the applicant for the federal grant, and we will put Mesa Grande Drive as one of our priority projects moving forward for grant applications. So there's no monetary values, nothing that's on the city side for any responsibilities other than the 2 that are listed here. So the next steps, if this is approved, the approval of the pre-development agreement, the developer will then begin to seek federal funding as us as the applicant. Once we receive the grants, thinking positive that we will get it, we will prepare a development agreement and then move on to the design and construction of the project. These are the options for council, but I am here to stand for any questions. I'm sure there is some.
Okay, Councilor Graham, Councilor Abeta, Councilor Bencomo. Well, I'll just start from the start. I'll just start from my right then, Councilor.
Thank you, Mayor. I get to go first. That's unusual. Just kidding. Thank you so much, Tony, for this presentation. 2 quick questions. The first one is on that prioritization later on, that I'm assuming falls in alignment with of course, Elevate Las Cruces and all other projects that we kind of have on those lists when we're looking at federal funding.
Correct, Mayor, Councilor Beta. So for these grants, these are the larger grants, like the RAISE grant or some of the larger federal grants that we can apply for, that's when we were trying to discuss the Travis, Alex, and North Main areas. These are like the $50, $70 million projects. So for this projects that we have in that amount of funding, so yes, this would be one of the priorities for the next 3 years moving forward.
Okay, thank you. And then my second question was, how much do you think that it was going to be that we would have to be seeking out later on?
So based on the analysis, so the developer has already provided a cost-benefit analysis, a traffic demand impact analysis, as well as some community benefits. The overall construction, kind of forecasting out to 2025, 2027, is about $60.5 million. This includes all of the utilities, all the major arroyo crossings. There's 3 major arroyo crossings out of there, as well as all the amenities, the landscaping, and everything to move forth for that roadway.
Okay,
which is over by 5.6 to 6 miles.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Graham?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Tony. 2 questions, one not weird, one weird. I'll go not weird first. One of the responsibilities of the city was to waive construction-related permit fees. Is that like, are we looking at a substantial amount of money there? And I know I'm asking you to guess, but I'm asking you to guess.
No, Mayor, Councilor Graham, we have done similar processes with this, like the voluntary assessment district and the special assessment district, where there's city projects, city-driven projects. The funding comes to the city. So all that's going to happen is the developer is going to pay for the consultant to design the project by our standards, our recommendation, our direction we're going to go with. So there's really, for CIP projects, we don't have permit processes, permit payments, nothing. So that's not, so it's called out just for the future clarification, but for CIP projects, we don't have permit fees.
Okay, great. And then on the kind of more abstract side, so this is the first time that I'm seeing a pre-development agreement like this. Have we done them before?
Mayor, Councilor Graham, the only agreements I've done similar to this are the voluntary assessment district, where the funding is sought, where the funding is put up by the city and then paid back by a developer, or a special assessment district. But this is the first where a public-private partnership has been approached by the city, or to the city by a developer with the risk waive, and it's a whole process with the public-private partnership. So this is my first one. And that's why this agreement was limited just to the award of the grant. And once that grant's awarded, then we're going to further define those roles, those roles and responsibilities more discreetly and more effectively moving forward.
Okay, well then just kind of turning to anyone who might know, you know, maybe we've done one of these before, maybe we haven't, but when we get to the end of the 3 years, and can we really, if we're not stoked on what's happening, can we really, like, can you really get out of this? Or I'm not sure how to, I'm just imagining going through this 3-year process, and optimistically everything goes great. But if it doesn't, I mean, how weird would that be?
So for Mayor, Councilor Graham, we have this clause over 3 years from now. We can either terminate or extend this project. But when we do get into that development agreement, we're going to have similar clauses when we get with legal to kind of determine how effectively these are going. If the design is not going as we wished and moving forward, as long as there's no detriment to the city, we will make sure there's clauses on that to keep everybody up to their responsibilities.
Okay, good deal. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Before I get to Councilman Como, Tony, isn't this the road where the developer's going to come up with 10% of the money and 90% hopefully will be grants?
So, Mayor, the way that the city was approached is the developer is going to provide all local match that's required, whether it's 10%. There's some that are 14, some that are 25. So they're on the hook for all the local match.
Yeah. Okay. And Councilor Graham, years ago, in probably about 20 years ago, that's how we built North Rise. The developer came to the city, because they couldn't have the full amount to do this, and so the city got the money and charged the developer a small fee, it covered the costs and then a small fee, and that's how we were able to build that road. So this one's a little bit different because they're coming up with, really, I don't think the city has a whole lot on here, because if between the grants and they're coming up with basically the match. Gosh, we're sitting here with $1 million, $10, $20 million roads, so I think it's pretty good. Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you. But Councilor Graham, I totally understand your line of questioning. I feel like I had a similar one, and I think I had raised similar concerns at the you brought this to PRC a while ago, right, Tony?
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, yes, the developer, we all did present to the PRC.
And I think there's just some like cautious optimism, right? Sometimes it just feels too good to be true. And so, but to be honest with you, if this was a project in District 4, I'd also take it in a heartbeat. So, but I do hear you on some of this. And then obviously after it's completed, then it becomes a city road, right? That then the city must maintain. I am curious if there has been or if there will be need for public engagement for the folks who live in the area.
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, so this would be typical as any other CIP project where we have a public input meeting and then a public informational meeting where the public can go and provide input, and then for the first one and the second one we kind of show what's going to be built and who is going to be impacted. So this will follow our typical CIP process for public meetings.
How long are we from those meetings?
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, I would say probably not till we get some grant funding established, but just based off of this, what's provided here, we can provide some cost estimates, just some benefits to the community for traffic impact, the multimodal and some other stuff, and future development in that area of what it can bring. So at that point, we can do during the preliminary design. But once you get to that, usually at 30%, that's as far as this goes. Then at 30% is when we go to the public to begin getting their input and kind of direct the design criteria.
Is that a little bit risky, like providing a plan, a proposal to the federal government for a grant, and then going to the community and saying, do you like this? And then, do you know what I mean?
Right. So, Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, so these scopes are kind of written
broadly,
not very broadly, to include just the design and construction of a multimodal roadway. So that's going to be, we're going to have some conceptual designs, we'll call them conceptual. They're not final, they're not the layout, but as long as those major key points that are in that scope of work for the grant agreement are hit, we should be fine, and then in constant contact. That's what we do for a lot of our NMDOT grants. We just apply with a broad scope, and then we modify them as needed.
Okay, great. And then my last question, really, Tony, is around, I don't remember specifically, and I might get this wrong, but I remember there being concerns last time of protecting the natural environment in that area, some of the arroyos and those kinds of things. Have you given any more thought to that concern that was raised?
Yes, Mayor, Councilman Bencomo. So that kind of hits two different parts. With the right-of-way, the roadway, we're required when we cross these arroyos to carry over 150% of the actual rainfall, the amount of runoff. In case of clogging occurs in these structures and so forth, so we're required to do a certain amount of design and over-design in case any kind of clogging debris fills it. So that's set in stone, and that's kind of driven by FEMA and the city design standards of what that has to be along those special flood hazard areas. Beyond the right-of-way, I know the developer, Mr. Moscato, has been in communication and contact with leaving the buffer. So I think that's still a topic, and that's still going, hasn't been set, but I know based on his community benefits that he did provide to the city, that is one of the items that he's moving forward with, is just the buffer and the open space in that development.
Great. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Correa?
Thank you, Tony. And yes, I remember our PRC conversation, so thank you for bringing up the environmental components as well as that. And I just want to, to our detractors who I know aren't really here as much anymore, I would just like to point out the connectedness of these things that we're talking about. We're talking about infill. We're talking about a housing development, which if those folks lived there, they would be driving on this road to get to other parts of the city. So just as a note, the lower income housing that we identified would benefit from the access of this. I would also just like to point out that my district, which this isn't in, again, but many of the folks who live there would benefit from different travel dynamics, especially multimodal transportation across the eastern part of the city. But I would like to point out that I live off of Roadrunner, which Tony has heard me complain about incessantly. That is, kids walking to school have to like bump out into the street because there's no sidewalk. There are significant gaps related to that, and it makes me really sad to drive on a road that isn't built in a friendly way and was piecemeal, and so that's why, to me, this is very appealing. So I would just like to point out, one, to our detractors, that we can walk and chew gum at the same time, and I would argue that this is chewing gum, and we complement each other pretty well, I think, in talking about infill, but also development. I do want to sort of speak to the idea of development and growth of the city. I know that you alluded to the Elevate plans. I think if you could just speak a little bit more. I work at the community college, which is off Callejitas, which just ends abruptly as it is now. But I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit more about the benefits, and really in Elevate, how does this connect to the plans for sort of sprawl in the ways that we think of it in negative ways, but also in the ways that we think of it as potentially smart growth and opportunities for sort of transit that is different from what it is today.
So, Mayor, Councilor Curran, I would be happy to attempt this one, but we do have an expert here, Mr. Moscato, on the developers. I would like to kind of ask him for his opinion on this, since he's on the development side. He sees the forecast and kind of can probably provide better insight on this. He wasn't aware I'd call him up.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Curran, John Moscato, Sierra Norte Land Holdings. So as Tony had indicated earlier, the Elevate Las Cruces comprehensive plan includes a variety of housing and commercial development in this, what I call the Mesa Grande corridor. There's an urban center called for at Mesa Grande Drive and Highway 70. And as you go south from there, you have different levels of neighborhood development. You have typical neighborhood development along the Mesa Grande Drive corridor, especially west of there. Then as you go east, it's more rural neighborhoods, so larger lots. We've proposed in connection with land that we have under lease with the State Land Office, we've proposed an affordable housing and plan, commercial development plan. We're not permitted to present those to the city yet until they are approved by the Land Office, but we're in that process right now. We're also in the process of discussions with the Land Office regarding some additional leased land, which would be east of Mesa Grande Drive, to tie in development both west of Mesa Grande Drive and east of Mesa Grande Drive, making sense to tie it all together. Also, as Tony indicated, it's a transit corridor. The roadway would include transit stops. There's also the possibility of vehicle charging stations along the corridor. I'm not sure if those are the answers you were looking for, if there's more detail you would like.
No, I think I appreciate you giving that context. I realize that it's sort of a vague idea in our mind coming from Elevate, and it has to be translated somehow into an operational reality. So I think that's really helpful, that description that you gave. So
okay,
that's it.
Thank you.
So I think I know that the planning part has a lot of potential input too, related to, especially as you mentioned, the environmental impacts and making sure that we're considering open space as a part of that. And so look forward to that process. I did have one last sort of question about priorities. You alluded to the Elks Trevice Raise grant, which I keep pulling for and hoping for, and that's in my district, and I hope that we'll keep submitting for that. Does approving this today affect the prioritization of those in terms of submission, or this is further in the future and that one is more proximate to the next few years? I wouldn't want to bump something that I'm also really hoping that we can get.
Mayor, Councilor Curran, Tony Trevino, for the record again. We are still having discussions with NMDOT on several projects. They actually have a project that's coming forth right now on I-25, where they actually wanted to hear our plans for the Madrid crossing or the Angler on and off ramps. So we are in discussion, they are planning, so we are having some other opportunities to team up with them to accomplish some of these larger projects that require the more $40 million grant types from the federal government or so forth. Unfortunately, the Trevice and Elks, that was going to require additional on and off ramps on NMDOT property to make this whole thing work. That would have been outside our jurisdiction and onto theirs. So that had excelled in cost more than we anticipated, so unfortunately.
So I guess more to the question of how do, like these are all things that are going to be on our CIP, right? How do we prioritize them in terms of putting into effort into submitting these grants? The Madrid thing is like new, but also old, but also we never thought it would happen. So how do we parse out what grants we're going for or what we're investing in or how we're investing the labor of the folks who have to sort of work on these plans?
So Mayor, Councilor Curran, I know the grants department, the grants program is revamping. They got some new employees, some new managers and so forth. So I know they're working with Shijana also of how we're going to prioritize these grants in the future. Once these groups get set and associated, then we'll have kind of a step to move forward in what direction we want to go. I know that's been in discussion. I don't think it's started yet, but that is the way we want to start to apply for these grants.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Okay, you hear the Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate the presentation. Hearing Mr. Moscato say they're in conversations with the land office, are you in those conversations as well? I mean, he alluded to not able to show the design, but I'm concerned that there isn't a city representative because it's only, land that the land office owns, if you will. I feel like someone in Santa Fe is making a decision about the city without city representation. Are you there and present, or how do we get actively involved in that dialogue if we're not?
Mayor Pro Tem, let me just say this. The previous Land Commissioner, Ray Powell, and the city and I, we signed an agreement that they would work with the city before they do any type of developments that you're talking about.
Okay.
And Commissioner Richards, although we haven't signed it, in principle, she's as supportive as that. We just haven't gotten around to doing any type of ceremony.
Okay.
So just thought I'd let you know about that.
We should probably get on that quickly because this is happening and I feel like we need to be a part of those conversations.
So Mayor Pro Tem, so what Mr. Moscato referred to was the development side, not the right-of-way side. For his whole lease, something that's outside of the city, that's privately owned. So that's something, the development, that's what is kept from us because that's their own negotiation over there.
Okay.
The right-of-way is already set for much of this area. There's already utilities that have been installed.
Okay.
So the right-of-way that we see here is already set, the width. So there might be a few adjustments for arroyo crossings or so forth, but that is already set with the state land office and BLM. So that's not going to go anywhere, that right-of-way and everything.
I appreciate thank you. The other thing is, okay, if we do get this money and this is becomes ours to maintain, what is the price tag on that, and how quickly would we have to maintain that, like considering for budgetary purposes and FTEs and those things?
Mayor Pro Tem, how did I know you were going to ask that? So here is our estimated maintenance costs.
Okay.
We got with Parks and Rec, since we know this is going to be a fully landscaped right-of-way, the medians and the sides with some trees. Talking to Franco, who is the administrator of operations there, is $44,000 a year for Parks and Rec to fully maintain a fully landscaped, developed roadway, which is kind of putting forth what we're spending now on new maintenance, new landscaping costs on existing roadways well exceeds that amount. As in terms of the roadway, again, we do our pavement maintenance, which has our, go back to the analogy of our vehicle, of our cars, our oil changes. So in about 5 years for a $70 million project, we'll go about $900,000 in 5 years for one of our treatments. At 15 to 18 years, to do probably one of our mill and overlays, one of our other treatments there would be about 3.6. But overall, based on our set practices now of what we're thinking, over 40 years of this roadway, which is older than a lot of the roads that are already here, will be about $4.5 million, what the city will have to spend on maintenance of the roadway, which is a fraction of the $70 million price tag that the grant is going to go for the full construction. So that compares, it's less than 1% of the total cost. I hope this helped.
It does, very much so. I appreciate that. And then the FTs, just the final kind of thinking, what would that look like in terms of an FTE, several FTEs? Are you contracting this stuff? Give me an idea of what that might look like.
So Parks and Rec, I think they're going to have like 2, but they're going to need 2 anyways. They're talking to Franco. There was another landscaped irrigation worker and an actual maintenance worker that will be added to it.
Okay.
But as well, on the engineering side, on our side, it's our engineers. We don't do this in-house. We just hire consultants to do it and contractors. So on the engineering public works side, there's no new FTs.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Mayor.
So Tony, can you put the map up again, the conceptual, let's see here. Well, yeah, that one would be good.
Yes, sir.
So one of the other things, so it's going to go all the way to Lumen. So one of the other things that this would be great, if you were to look at the city's MPO and where they project, I know we were talking about the other extension on the other side, but would be another east-west road. And so down the road, if the city can get this through the help of this partnership, I think the MPO calls for University to eventually connect with this, University and Missouri. And so that way there it provides yet another east-west road, because that's why Madrid I was thinking about, that's why we were looking at Madrid. And obviously it's going to, with this is a huge head start. You know, it'll still probably take 10 more years before we get to that, but this would be great, especially for future planning of the city. And as far as the revenue that's going to be generated from all the different housing that's out there, the city's gross receipts tax is going to really increase, and it's going to stay pretty healthy throughout. Okay, are there any members of the public who wish to speak about this? George?
My name is George Pearson. You just approved the MRAs for the West Picacho and El Paseo Solano corridors. This was based on more than 10 years of planning and community involvement. The Mesa Grande extension had some limited planning. It is an Elevate, but please remember that Elevate is a long-range plan, with Mesa Grande extension more appropriate in the 20 to 30 year out time frame. Mesa Grande project, if it is started now, would be in direct competition with the MRAs. The project is said to be, quote, free, unquote, but would be funded by grants that are needed to implement the El Paseo and West Picacho MRAs. The RAISE grant in particular, I can just imagine El Paseo being reconstructed with the RAISE grant. At your January 2021 budget retreat, you heard from Charles Marone from Strong Towns. One of his points was that growth creates the illusion of wealth, and gave the example of a suburban development project versus an urban development project, where the urban project gives over $2 million value over the suburban project. Please consider your priorities. Is the Mesa Grande project needed? Yes, but not for another 20 or so years, perhaps. Let's work on the MRAs and give back and come back to the Mesa Grande extension in maybe 5 years or so. This would still be 10 years earlier than what's in the Elevate plan. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. If there's no other further questions, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 23-110. Counselor Beta?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Counselor Cram?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Gondeta?
No.
And Mayor.
Yes. Okay, so we go to item 8.4, Council Bill number 23-022.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion made by Councilor Beta, second by Councilor Graham. And Elizabeth Teeters, Director of Economic Development, will be presenting.
Good afternoon again, Mayor and City Council. My name is Elizabeth Teeters, for the record. I'm really excited to be standing here today to talk about the LIDA that we are proposing for 828 Productions. This has been almost 2 years in the making, and I know for some people in this room, they've been waiting a lot longer for a film studio. So with that, I'll just walk you through the LIDA objectives and then go through the project itself. So LIDA is the Local Economic Development Act. It is a state and local incentive. Its objectives, it assists expanding or relocating businesses that stimulate economic growth, have significant community impact and support, increase wages and provide job creation, promote significant new private capital investment. The use of LIDA funds. LIDA funds can be used to purchase, lease, construct, improve, or acquire land, buildings, or infrastructure. Public works improvements essential to the location or expansion, and it is on a reimbursement basis. A little bit of background about 828. It is a film finance and lending company that was established in 2019. Since then, they have financed 15 films with a budget spend of over $50 million. The project itself is to construct a movie studio. The first phase will include quite a few items, including 4 sound stages, office space, a mill, and other items. They'll manage production of films and finance independent films. They're going to be creating 10 full-time jobs, which includes film financing, production accounting, production services, and post-production services, and the estimated investment is $75 million. The LIDA agreement itself, the New Mexico Economic Development Department will be contributing $3 million. The city will contribute $897,596. We will serve as the fiscal agent for this project. Again, they will being asked to create 100 full-time jobs by the end of 2029. On top of that, the $75 million in investment by 2031, and then $350 million in production spend investment by 2032. So the breakdown on the jobs is a little different because they have multiple aspects. So I'm just going to go through it separately. So studio jobs is going to be about 45 jobs with an average salary of $58,000. The production jobs themselves is going to be 28 jobs with almost $89,000 average salary. Virtual effects facility will be 11 jobs with an average salary of $101,000. And then the post-production jobs will be 16 at $81,000. So if you put all those together, all 100 jobs, the average salary for this project is $75,000. When you break it down to the different salaries, over 60 of the jobs will be $60,000 or more. The $40,000 jobs, the 27 jobs, is security guards and assistants. So this project is a little different than normal. For film LIDAs, we do 10 years instead of 5 because we want to get our investment back. Plus the reimbursement that we're using capital outlay funds for this project, thanks to Senator Steinborn. And so what we had to do is we had to figure out cinematic infrastructure reimbursement for the project. So we've been working really close with 828 staff so that we could see their timeline on construction and improvements and try to match it up with how we could possibly reimburse them. So we're planning on doing it in 6 tranches, and hopefully in the next year. And this is just a conceptual map of the property. And with that, we have representatives from 828, and Senator Steinborn is here if there are any questions.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Councilor Bencomo.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for the presentation and for the 828 folks for staying, for being here throughout the meeting. I was very impressed by the salary chart for sure. I wondered if you could tell me, I was looking at it, now I can't find it. None of these jobs are filled yet, right? Or are they?
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, I'm going to turn it over to Robert Dean, who's here representing 828.
Mayor, City Council, thank you. Robert Dean with 828. To answer your question, we've already employed multiple people within these positions. And so as of right now, we've got 2 employees here with us right now. We've got 6 in total at 828 Productions. And as we begin to build out the infrastructure, obviously that's kind of where the bulk of the hiring comes from.
Great. Thank you for that. That's great to hear that. And then back to Elizabeth. So the 10 versus 5 years, that's state statute?
Mayor, Councilor Bencomo, so the state has done a few LEDAs. The Netflix facility is an example up in Albuquerque, and they kind of set the benchmark that 10 years instead, because generally film studios have such a high investment, so the expectation to get all the work done in 5 years, I don't know if it's realistic, so you give them 10 years, and then that also gives more for build out and gives them time to get everything together.
Thank you. And I don't have any more questions. I just was going to say a couple of things given the very much the intersectionality of today's agenda between all of these pieces and the MRA, this being right outside of the West Picacho MRA, and the incredible investment that you'll be making in our community in an area that very much needs it, and to the detractors, as Councilor Corrin said, for people who say no one wants to come here. I disagree. And I think this investment wholeheartedly disagrees with that. And so I just wanted to say, that I'm grateful to staff for the work that they've been doing on this, and for you all for this investment in our community.
Thank you. Councilor Graham, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Since we have an expert here, speaking of intersectionality, I was wondering, Raj, if you could talk to us a little bit about how this project can help strengthen our relationship with the university community. I know obviously this is something Councilor Abeta very interested in, as the university is in her district, or just anything you want to say, because I like listening to you talk.
Well, thank you, Mayor, Council, Councilor Graham. I'm very excited to be about.
Excuse me, Raj. Sorry to interrupt, but I need you to state your name, please.
My name is Rajiv Durmalakondan. I'm a faculty member at NMSU for the last 16 years. And, this city has been my home for a long time. I grew up here, and I'm proud to call Las Cruces my home. But one of the things that it missed was an opportunity for all the film students from the Creative Media Institute, from the Creative Media Technology Program, is the opportunity to get employment upon graduation. So we've seen hundreds of talented students leave when they graduate. And now, because of 828, they have the opportunity to stay here in their community, with their families, close to home, and work as part of the film industry. And not only is it going to benefit the students, but it's going to give people with transferable skills, artisans, craftspeople, construction people, all these folks, the opportunity to transfer those skills into film industry, right? They can get higher paid jobs, they can all of a sudden change their profession, and now they're in the movie business. And veterans as well, who have skills. So this is going to really benefit economically in many ways. It's going to give all these people new opportunities that never existed. And when film productions come in, they're like a big circus that comes into town. So they're going to be utilizing our businesses, service industries, restaurants, buying stuff, getting haircuts, buying clothes. So it's going to have a far-reaching ripple effect within our local economy, plus tourism, right? When movies start getting made, people are going to see the Organ Mountains now. They're going to be like, where is this place? Where is this magical, mystical mountain range? They're going to want to come here. So it's going to have a far-reaching impact. And I've been here almost 30 years off and on, and this is probably the most exciting thing I've seen happen to our town. You know, there's been almost $1 billion spent in this state, but we haven't really had a chance to get a piece of that pie. And now, because of 828, we can get a piece of that pie. And with the tax incentives, it's going to get even higher and higher. So we're going to be able to give our local communities opportunities to work. It's going to benefit the businesses. And just overall, I'm so excited to see how the landscape of Las Cruces is going to change within the next year or two. Thank you.
I knew you wouldn't disappoint. Thank you. Thank you. I know, right? I want to applaud. And I love the point you make, speaking of talented NMSU film students. What's up, Andrew? We had a conversation exactly about what you were talking about. When film crews come, they are a part of our community for several weeks, and Andrew pointed out to me how many small businesses they were looking, like, hey, where can we do yoga? And set up a quick, just like a quick little temporary contract or gyms, or, beyond just the obvious but important things like food service and other personal services. It's such a boon to the entire small business community. So yeah, thank you so much, Raj. Thank you.
If I could add one more thing.
Absolutely.
Robert and I are from this part of the state. We've grown up here. Our families are here. And Todd, who is our CEO, loves Las Cruces. And so together, we're all really invested in building up Las Cruces in the local community. This is not just some in-and-out operation. This is a long-term relationship, and we are excited to build something big here. Thank you.
Thanks, Raj. Okay, next, Mayor Pro Tem and then Councilor Beta.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Elizabeth. We waited so long for this. I'm excited about the opportunity. But could you change the slide to slide 6 and talk a little bit about the city's contribution, the $897,596? Where does that come from?
Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor, so that comes from that's capital outlay funds that Senator Steinborn provided 7 years ago, something like that. So the city's been holding on to those funds because he had a dream for this community, and so we're really happy that we finally get to use them.
Thank you. And then the question around the 100 full-time employees by 2029, those employees, will they be specific to Las Cruces residents? How is that being divvied up in the contract?
Mayor Pro Tem, yes, that is, the expectation is to be hiring local.
Okay. And you have that listed on a contract or?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And with that, how many are union, non-union folks? Do you know that?
Mayor Pro Tem, there's nothing in the actual agreement itself. I don't know if you can speak to it, Robert.
City Council, Mayor, I think to answer that question properly, the idea is the crew base those are our union workers. And so for us to really drive production and infrastructure here, it's going to be reliant on us building a local crew base, a union crew base. And so that's going to be a part of our efforts that we're talking about and what Raj is saying with the universities, the academy, the upcoming academy that we have, the local citizens here in the community. We need to build our crew base, and it's going to be, that's part of our job, is to drive the workflow so that we can build that crew base. So yes, the idea is most of those will be union crew members.
I was really hoping you'd say that, coming from a union family. I'm very proud union, so supporter. Yeah, I appreciate you being here and learning about 828, I was able to welcome Todd and you all when they made the announcement at the Rio Grande, and it was just so exciting to be a part of that and to hear his vision. There's a lot of passion, and he spoke of the majestic mountains, and we're starting to see those in some of the different films that have been here, right, and developed here, and so that's really exciting to me. And I want folks to understand how beautiful this city is, and what council has been trying to do, at least in the last 8 years, is trying to really deter that brain drain. What has been so important, at least to me, and I know we've changed over 3 times now, council, but it's those collaborations with the university and DACC and those folks that are building, that workforce that you really wanting, and I'm very excited to be a part of this, and again to welcome you, and I look forward to seeing more films that you all will do here, and so welcome and thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Temp, and if I can, it's going to be hard to follow what Raj said, but to kind of touch on what you were just saying. Yeah, I'm from New Mexico, native New Mexico, and about a quarter of that I've spent here in Las Cruces. I went to NMSU in the film program, and then I left so that I could travel around all over the country making films. Ultimately, I came back here because I love this place. I love New Mexico, my family's here, and I've always believed that for long-term sustainable growth, we need to plant roots here. We got to build the industry from the inside out. We've been a backdrop. New Mexico's an incredible backdrop, and most of my favorite Westerns have all been shot here in the state. But we need people to make long-term commitment to keep the economics here and not take them back out of state. And like Raj said, there was almost $1 billion that was injected into the state last year by film. So it's proven to be a very powerful economic driver, and the support that you guys have given us, the community, Jeff, so many people have really advocated and put their effort into bringing a studio here. And so we are so grateful for that support, but it's that kind of support that allows us to plant those roots here and to continue to foster and give opportunities to the next generation, because that's ultimate growth. That's where we're ultimately going to sustain this, is by working with the universities, working with the film schools. There's a pipeline to be created right there so that people don't have to leave, and we can keep them right here, and we can train them, work hand in hand with them from day one. And that's what's incredible about this community, is it's not just the amazing backdrops that we have, but the magic is really in the people and the community that we've got here paired with that. And so we're just thrilled to be a part of it and to do our part and contribute back into injecting the support of the community that's been reciprocated to us. And we are here to work hand in hand with you guys through all of those processes. And we are just super excited. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Really appreciate you saying that. Our people people don't understand, but we have incredible people here, and I'm really happy that you made mention that there's a lot of beauty in our heart and passion for what we do. So thank you for that. And then just lastly, do you anticipate an influx of people that have left will be coming back, given that you all are here?
Yeah.
And do you have maybe a number of folks that have probably reached out to you with interest?
Mayor Pro Temp, it's interesting you say that. We see a lot of people that we've worked with throughout the years who have moved off to LA or maybe even Albuquerque or Santa Fe with the idea of the mention of us, bringing in this studio. A lot of their families are here still, and they would love to come back here to their families. So it's hard for me to put an exact number on it, but I think when there's work and you have workflow, that's the job creation, then you've got the reason to be able to stay. It's hard to leave home. I know whenever I left, it was kills you to leave the place that you know more, like you want it to work here. So I think we're going to see a lot of those people come back here, and I think too we're going to keep a lot of the students and kids that we have here from having to leave, and then let's have them start families and build homes here and start new businesses and continue to kind of just elevate this community together.
And then I'll just put a bug in your ear. I met a young man, a 6th grader, a couple of weeks ago who's phenomenal and has a dream of being a director. And I met him through Girls and Boys Club. And it would be lovely, given that you're in the area and they hopefully will be moving to a new site, kind of similar to geographically where you all are at, that there would be, some coordination and collaboration with programming for kids that have an interest in the film. And so just a little bit of a bug in your ear.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Part of our plan.
Thank you so much.
We're working on currently.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Beta.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all again. I'm really excited to hear about the work that you're doing with workforce development pipelines. I think that's going to be so important. About 15 years ago, my brother was making the choice whether to stay in film here or to move off to LA. And unfortunately, he moved away. He's been fairly successful. He's working in Atlanta too, going back and forth. But like so many people, once they leave, sometimes it's hard to get them back. So I'm really excited to see how we can train and have jobs that are paying people enough to want to stay as well. Because it's not just about bare minimums, it's about making sure that they see that opportunity for advancement. And when we compare that with quality of life costs here, Las Cruces looks a whole lot better than LA, I have to say. So very excited to see this. And I'm just grateful for the collaboration. And thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else? Well, I think a lot has been said, and we're really happy and fortunate that this is moving forward. And a big thanks to Senator Steinborn for, your dream. I mean, every time we've talked about this, I mean, I always told you that if any a big Fortune 500 company knows that you're around, they would hire you to get their projects done, because you're like a bulldog. You won't let go until it's done. And so we appreciate that tenacity. You always come through for the city, and we appreciate that very much. And this is obviously the money that's going to be used to get this going. And this is really incredible to have this type of opportunity. I know a lot of times our friends up north, Albuquerque and Santa Fe, get a little envious, and this is yet another reason to be even more envious. So thanks again for everyone. Okay, any public comments? Senator Steinborn, sure. Are you all going to name this building after senators? The Jeff Steinborn.
I refuse. If nominated, I will not serve. That was of course, reference, don't name anything after me. But Mayor, Council, great to be with you. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't stand up and support here today. I'm Jeff Steinborn, one of your state senators, the president of Film Las Cruces. Just got back 24 hours ago. I'm a little bit wiped out, so forgive, but of course I wouldn't have missed today. So great to see 828 here. Great to be here for this moment where we helped launch this project. 828, since the deal was announced, has been working to get this agreement in place before they really launched in construction, because that's what they're required to do in order to get, their expenses covered and yada, yada, yada. So, of course, since I saw you all last, some big things have happened. Las Cruces was named one of the top destinations in America by Movie Maker magazine to live and work as a movie maker. We're listed number 7. That's a huge accomplishment, very prestigious list in the film industry. First city outside of Albuquerque and Santa Fe to make that list, so kudos to us. Another big piece of news I'll drop on you guys today in case you didn't hear. Elizabeth, of course, knows this. I've been working since before the session. For the first time, we were invited to be part of the heavy hitters in the film industry in New Mexico on revising New Mexico's film incentives. And I sat at the table with Netflix and the Motion Picture Association and NBC, and I said, I support you guys, we support film in Las Cruces, but film has to work for the whole state. And that's what I'm here advocating for. So I advocated that we increase the rural film incentive, which gives productions an extra 5% if they film 60 miles outside of Bernalillo, Santa Fe County. And I can tell you that we were successful. Governor hasn't signed the bill yet. We were successful in doubling that to 10%. So this will be a major tool. So that'll mean productions can get up to a 40% rebate for filming in Las Cruces and Doña Ana County, and actually all the emerging film communities around the state. So this is a huge win for not just Las Cruces, but Gallup, Farmington, towns across the state that are trying to grow film. And yeah, you know, the great thing about this project today, Council and Mayor, is that, you know, it's all outside money. It's $1 million of state capital outlay money. And by the way, that was about a dozen legislators over 2 sessions who, thanks to our film community here, going up there, you know, working the halls, contributed towards this dream. And so I want to thank them. Many of them aren't in office anymore, but we've been saving it for the right opportunity, making sure we didn't squander taxpayer money on something that wasn't the right deal. And then, of course, the $3 million in state LEDA money. That was the whole strategy all along, Mayor, was to get some money and then leverage and attract other funds. And then, of course, the biggest investor now is 828, bringing in their funding, leveraging what we put to the table. So, you know, it's we're excited and ready to work hard. And Mayor Pro Tem, I'll just close by saying Film Las Cruces, you know, we work with the Las Cruces Public Schools. And Las Cruces Public Schools, we have a board member from Las Cruces Public Schools on our board. They're launching a film competition this year for film students, K through 12. So I'd love to connect with that student you talked about and get them involved in this film competition. And that's definitely a big part of our work and our vision is that pipeline, is that continuum. It's all about training. It's all about making dreams come true and keeping kids here. I mean, that's the founding vision of this group. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thanks, Senator. Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve ordinance 3028. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondeta?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, so let's let the movies begin. All right, thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. So next we go to board appointments. I'll have one here, Melanie Brown to the City Art Board. I would need a motion and a second, please.
So moved, Corin.
Second, Graham.
Motion made by Councilor Corrin, second by Councilor Graham. Christine?
This is on the motion to reappoint Melanie Brown to the City Art Board. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondeta?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, next is notice of proposed ordinances. There'll be no public discussion. Councilor may ask staff for clarification on the proposed ordinance. So that is item 10.1, Council Bill number 23-023, ordinance number 3029.
Bring it forward.
Okay, bring it forward. Okay, next we go to City Council member board reports and comments. I just have one. I had to change the date of my State of the City address. Originally it was going to be March 30th. I've changed it to March 28th, which is Tuesday at 1:30 here. So hopefully you all will attend. And that's all I have, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, you come so quickly. I'm like
Yeah, I know.
still trying to get myself organized here. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I wanted to talk specifically about the possibility, a strong recommendation to reinstate the NAT program. Many years ago, we started that neighborhood action team, and this was to identify those unoccupied residential and commercial buildings, keeping lists, having the direct contact with the property owners and such to maintain the safety and well-being of the area. And the reason I bring it up, in the last few weeks, I've received numerous complaints about unoccupied dwellings that are posing a hazard to the neighborhood. One in particular on McClure Road, that's on my side of the district, and I know that Councilor Bicoma had been working on some there in that area. So when you have 3 or 4 or 5 in the same area, it poses such a risk to the community. And I sent an email, Ikani, to last week to community development codes, Lieutenant Whittala, specifically about the issues. I mean, some of the things that are happening are, where puppies are left there with no food, no water. I think I emailed, and I'm looking at Chief Smith, I think, because I'd spoken to Annette, and she said, yeah, there's that program that they're trying to get moving or have been doing. And so, when you hear those things and you hear the neighbors frustrated and concerned about what has happened in the area, it just makes for a really bad situation, which leads me now to asking when our uniform housing code that we worked on and the housing PRC, when that's going to come forward, trying to figure out where it's at, if it's with legal or with Natalie's group and neighborhood services. I wasn't sure, but one of the things that I think would be helpful is including a yearly fee that's substantial for unoccupied dwellings that I think would be necessary to get people sort of deciding, is this something that I need to do something about, like sell it or whatnot? Because for instance, in the Lift Up area, when we sent a couple of times now correspondence, hundreds of letters are coming back that say unoccupied with very little oversight by anybody, if you will. And I think, again, it just lends to blight and the issues of Mayor and I sat in a Zoom meeting last week with Border Patrol maybe, and around stash houses, and hearing from them the number of unoccupied minors in this home that were being picked up illegally before they could do the necessary paperwork to come over to the States as migrants, right? And so I'm getting increasingly concerned about that, and I just feel like codes and others need to work together, right, to address those issues. Let's see, what else? The lady that spoke around domestic violence, she had she called a meeting with me and spoke to me very, very concerned about the rise in domestic violence. I've mentioned that in our Public Safety Select Committee, and we're working towards, again, lifting the moratorium to address domestic violence cases in the city and municipal court. Mayor, from having the interview with the individual possibility of having another individual become a judge, he gave me a lot of insight about what is happening with these cases where there's mental illness or dual diagnosed folks that also have issues possibly with domestic violence and deemed incompetent, right? They have to seek an assessment and evaluation, if you will, and when they do that, those cases are being dismissed completely, and that there's something, I'm not sure if there's something that we need to do in re-examining the law, working with our legislators to change that law, but to assess folks and deem them incompetent to stand trial, and then just put them out in community without resources or services, right, in place for these folks just seems to be asking for trouble and a disservice to the community. So I think we should, work on, providing services of some sort, and to Ms. Smith's point about the MRAs, and I mean, kudos to this council for the number of resolutions that we passed today that is really going to help people, not only workforce pipeline, housing, affordable housing. These are all things that we've been working on for several years now that are going to help folks that find themselves in these dire straits. And frankly, the number 8 points that Mr. McMillan brought to my attention or to all of council are really unviable. This is just not something that I'm going to support. I've tried to have conversation with him and his partners about what they're seeing in the business community, and I'm still available to have these communications, but asking people to actually drug test everyone in public housing and homeless camps, and after the second time be kicked out of the system. Well, what do you think is preventing or exasperating the homeless situation? I mean, people have to really have an understanding about addiction and what happens to the brain and to the body when these sorts of things are being left right without medical attention. The point in, and I'll stop on my soapbox about our Health Policy Review Committee. Special thanks to Chief Smith and Council Coran for putting together what we hope is a resolution to come to council about our philosophy and how we deal specifically with fentanyl and addiction, and that is through our MAT programming. Mayor, we hope that you'll support bringing that resolution, because it's, I think, important that when we provide funding to, say, for example, the detention center, LCBD, fire, and addressing these issues, it's important that our officers and our safety personnel are carrying Narcan, that when folks come into detention center, that they're being addressed in the most trauma-informed way that we can, and that's with providing the MAT services. And so I think it's going to be an exciting, a resolution that's really going to help people, and I'm looking forward to whatever is next as it relates to the opioid settlement. I know we talked about having work sessions about how we're going to utilize this funding, and I think it's an opportunity to really, for this council to really get to the root causes of some of these issues with some of this programming, Mayor. And then lastly, I am having, I wanted to say I'm having a district meeting specific and I'm looking at our folks down in the audience to help me with the dates. The 29th, my district meeting. Sorry. Maybe we should go on, and then I'll
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah.
Sorry, Barbara DeLeon.
You saved me, Barbara. Thank you. Golly, I have my card sitting out, but
That's right. It's actually going to be Thursday, the 30th.
Thank you.
Here in Council
Thursday,
Chambers.
the 30th, Council Chambers, inviting District 1 folks to come and hear about economic prosperity and all the various programming that the city is doing in relation to that. And so I invite District 1. And so with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Coran.
Thank you. I will keep it short this week. I'd say that because I feel like today's council session is weighing on me a little bit. First off, I want to say how extraordinarily proud I am to serve with the women of the Las Cruces City Council. And Mayor, thank you for your attempts at reining us in. I appreciate that you that you don't actually try to do that, so thanks for that. But I do want to just say how lucky we are to get to serve and make decisions that move our city forward, and I'm really proud that we keep doing that, and I look forward to doing it with you all into the future. That said, next week I will be missing, as well Councilor Beta will be in DC for the National League of Cities Conference. I'm really looking forward to hearing from a lot of other cities, and also meeting with our federal congressional delegation to talk about our funding priorities and hopes for the next year. So we'll be absent for the work session next week, but I look forward to the updates. We'll share our updates, I'm sure, when we return. So otherwise, that's it for today.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Bencomo.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, everyone. A couple announcements myself, and then I also have just a couple things to say. I did want to shout out Chief Smith because he sent me this really great piece of information regarding the connection between poverty and fires, and it's really good. And so I just want to read what he said to me. I hope you don't mind, Chief. The National Fire Protection Association has written a white paper on the connection of home fires, fire injury, and fire deaths, which correlates poverty and home fires. In short, poverty leads to more fires, more injuries, and more negative outcomes from home fires. Efforts to combat poverty is a fire prevention strategy. I just think it's an important aspect to include to our MRA conversations. Thank you, Chief. I am also hosting a District 4 community meeting on April 6th, Thursday, April 6th at 6 p.m. at MacArthur Elementary. And I hope that folks come. We'll be discussing issues around public safety, the MRA, GO bonds, and other exciting things happening in the city. I just want to thank Katrina, our new constituent services interim person, for her support and for her help. I really appreciate it. I think that might be it on my announcements. I did want to note, though, that certainly want to apologize to my colleagues if I ever don't have a poker face, which is often. And the reality, though, is that people come here often, almost every other Monday, to disagree with something that I am doing or that we are doing. And that composure remains. We cannot engage during public comment. That is the public's time, not our time. This is our time. But I would just like to point out that what happened today was not disagreement. People didn't come here to disagree with us today. People came here specifically to demean us, not our work, us, our character. And I just want to call out that there was very clear dog whistles here today that come here. People come here and say, Mayor, the man of the council, make sure you get all those rowdy women in place. Put them in their place. They are being too loud, they're being too rowdy. So, Mayor, I appreciate what you said about us today, and that you acknowledge that some of that may be happening, but that is what happened here today. And if you're gonna come here and you're gonna mischaracterize our words, if you are gonna come here and defend a word that is so clearly disgusting and awful, you are telling on yourself. If you're going to come and do that and expect me not to have a face, I don't know what to tell you. People disagree with me all of the time, but that was not what happened here today. And it's rich to me that a very wealthy person would come here and tell us these things about people struggling with poverty. Pay people willing to work a living wage and withhold half of their pay so that they can accumulate rent. That is called wage theft. To me, this is very, unfortunately, and even though we are in a nonpartisan body, to me, this is very clearly a political issue. It is some of these suggestions are no longer about actually helping our community move forward, about addressing root causes. It is now about, we don't like your philosophy. And yeah, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and be nice and meek when you are directly engaging in derogatory behavior towards myself and my colleagues. So I just wanted to say that because I couldn't walk away here today without saying that. And that is it. Please come to my district meeting on April 6th.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Councillor Graham.
To quote great American Stone Cold Steve Austin, can I get a hell yeah? Hell yeah. Thank you, Mr. Pearson. No, thank you. Thank you so much for that, Counselor. You spoke my heart and you make my faces. So I appreciate sitting here next to you and with all of you. No announcements or updates. Again, just kind of a little bit of a comment. It takes forever to get good work done. The MRA, despite some of the vibes in chamber today, I'm just absolutely glowing about the MRA. And I wanted to take an opportunity to shout out Congressman Gabe Vasquez, who also put in so much of the legwork on this. I'm the one who got to pick up that, narrative and got to do the final vote. But so many people put in so much work before we get to be the yes or no votes on that. And I just think that's really important to acknowledge. And I just want to thank everyone here and everyone before who has done that vital work to make our community better. And then also, so I settled the bet with myself. If you guys remember the day that I was so snarky because it turned out I had COVID and I felt super sick, and I was like, ugh, I wonder what'll happen first, the shade structure or an MRA? Turns out it was an MRA, so go shade structure. But no, that's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Beta.
Thank you so much. A few quick announcements, just because I think we all liked making staff work all in the same week. I'm going to have a district meeting April 4th on Tuesday, so thank you to Constituent Services, of course, and but it's going to be from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Papin Center. So we will be talking about public works, public safety, and hopefully give a few little updates about just what's happening in the district and the legislative session. With that in mind, I do want to say thank you again to Elizabeth for all your advocacy, being an expert witness and helping get that across the threshold. And I think that's one of the great things about here. I think people fail to realize that we have over 1,000 staff members. And so we're going to be working on more than one thing at a time. So while we might have one or two topics that get noticed by a media outlet or feel that are directly connected to one individual, we're working on multiple items all at the same time. And that's when it all comes together, like we saw today between the MRA, between looking at economic development opportunities, that creates a better city moving forward. And we have to do all those things together. And so I want to do what I can as a counselor to help distribute that information about the good work that we do, because there's a lot that have been done, and it's because of the hard work of staff and by my counselors with imagination as well and work. I'm really pleased to see it all has to kind of come together, right? We all have our places and our pieces, and so I just want to name that. And name that those that do have concerns, I think we've all been really mindful, and I know I try to be, about listening, because, you know, I change my opinion based on information. And if you bring me information that is legitimate, that can be backed by actual statistics or science or even lived experiences, then I can proceed forward and make a reasonable decision. What we got here today was not for us, because the very first line of it says, "Below are my ideas that I have shared with you and our politicians and with you." So this wasn't for us to begin with. This was a narrative used for other purposes. And that's really unfortunate, I think, for our community that gets to hear that, and it doesn't have legitimate, I would say, solutions. But I think we're all here at a table wanting solutions, wanting to help in different ways. And we have staff that are very smart that are looking at different solutions too, because they want to see our community move forward. And so I am very proud of the work that staff has done, that my colleagues have done, and I'm going to make sure that I continue to educate myself every day about these items so that we can come up with new solutions and help the city. So thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I forgot. We had the Economic Development PRC, and it was a really important one. We had discussion about the industrial revenue bond with our council, which was really impactful. Thank you for having it. I learned so much. And this was on the heels of the IRB speculative development that's probably going to come in the next month or two. I'm looking at Elizabeth. And it just another tool in our toolbox, right, to help sort of the West Mesa development and whatnot, Mayor. There's a lot of work happening in there, and I just wanted to bring that up as a point, and just to let people know that we're working really hard. And then we had Julia Brown do a presentation. She is the new New Mexico Economic Development Department regional, I guess, representative, and it's lovely to see her. She has this beautiful voice, this calming voice, but super smart about the area of economic development, and I really appreciated her taking the time and coming out and visiting and speaking more specifically to LIDA. And so Julia Brown is our new representative that was here. And so just wanted to update folks on the Economic Development PRC. I promise I'm trying to get better about giving you guys updates. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
That's so cool.
All right. Ikani, City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Miyagashima and City Council. Ikani Tamopeao, Acting City Manager. If anyone following at home, if you look at the seat and it looks like Ifopili got smaller, you're right. Ifopili did get smaller. He's on his last week of mandatory annual leave, and so he'll be back next week. But I appreciate all staff. We have fantastic staff making life easy for whoever comes in this seat, so thank you very much. I have a real quick report, and then we're going to change things up a bit here, but I don't want to ruin the surprise, so Mayor, I hope this is okay with you. We got Public Works doing a great job, about $3.5 million worth of pavement replacement projects that are happening currently right now. So if you need any clarification, I'm just going to name off streets that it's taking place. But again, behind all these streets are awesome staff making it happen. So we appreciate Public Works and their staff. But there are certain sections on these streets, so feel free, Council and Mayor, if you have any questions for clarifications, just let me know and I can clarify where it is on these streets. But we have repavement projects happening on South Almendra Street, Española Street, South Esperanza Street, Homestead Circle, Laredo Avenue, Martha Drive, Mercury Lane, Mulberry Avenue, Fur Avenue, South Nevada Street, Walden Drive, Birch Drive, Azalea Drive, California Avenue, Calle Sosa, Cummings Court, Elder Street, Susan Avenue, Wesley Drive, North Willow Street, and Arrowhead Road. Okay, so 3.5 million happening right now, so we appreciate Tony, Dave Cedillo, and all the team making that happen. Last update from me, quality of life. Had a superb and fantastic and amazing event on Saturday, March 11th. The museum sponsored a very successful Chalk the Walk for the first time with a total of 2,036 people passing through the courtyard between Brannigan Cultural Center and the Museum of Art to check out the work of local chalk artists. Deputy Director of Museums Garland Courts reported that the event was a team effort from marketing and social media posted by staff, which drew such a large crowd, and the staff and volunteers who worked at the event or kept the museums open. The museum intends for this to be an annual event. So thank you to all the team at Quality of Life and to the museums especially. Fantastic report. And here is the presentation of the day. We have Barbara De Leon. We like to call her, is our legislative whisperer. And there are millions of dollars coming to the City of Las Cruces and our partners. And we got more money than last year. And I can only tie it to because Barbara is our legislative whisperer working on it this year. So there's a brief presentation, just 5 PowerPoint slides, but couldn't be done over the microphone, so that's why we had Barbara just present it quickly to you. Won't take long, but I'll turn over the time to Barbara. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akani, and thanks to you all. My name is Barbara De Leon, as Akani said, Chief Administrative Officer. And before I go over the overview with you about our legislative funding from this session, I do want to send a shout out to our staff that really helps make this happen. We have had some transition in the grants section, and our new grants manager, Susan Gonzalez, and our Deputy Finance Director, Alfredo Pacheco, really helped to keep us organized with all the different dates that we had for deadline for submittal, all the different forms that we needed to submit, letters of support, et cetera, and organizing discussions with other staff members and Srijana Bosniat and David Cedillo, Tony Trevino in Public Works, just a number of people that it takes to come together and make sure that we get all the information submitted to the state so that we can get the good funding that will really help our community thrive. So I really appreciate their efforts. I put together just a summary of the capital outlay projects that are currently in the bill. Of course, the governor has until April 7th to sign, veto, or fail to sign the bills that have been passed. But as it stands, we have quite a bit of funding set aside for our community projects across the so many lines of business, from quality of life, senior centers, museums, our fire station improvements, and our Las Cruces International Airport, many parks, and you'll see a few more. I've got a few pages of line items for spending. Our Lift Up Las Cruces area for street and lighting improvements. We had requested $1 million, but we got $560,000. We're also making requests from our federal delegation as well for this very same project so that we can really make an impact here. I'm going to move to the next page. We have funding for our Mesquite Historical District. Again, I mentioned senior centers, museums, parks, trail improvements, Veteran Memorial Park, Mesquite, that is I duplicated this Mesquite Historical District in Munson Senior Center. Apologize, that's a duplication, so not an additional $2.6 million there. We have some street improvements, and then for our facilities at Mesilla Valley Community of Hope, quite a bit of funding there for the facilities and the programs that support our community through those entities. So over $11 million in capital outlay. So capital outlay, we have several years to spend the funds. So these are recurring funds, funding sources. We also have the junior bill. This is a non-recurring funding source for us. These funds that are set aside for specific projects or facilities must be spent within 1 year. We typically have a little bit less than that by the time we get the money from the state. So these projects are a bit smaller in nature, but no less impactful to our community. So you'll see some of the projects that are set aside for museums, funding for small businesses through our LIDA projects, some body cameras for the police department. We have trail improvements and improvements to Veteran Memorial Park. Those two items were set aside from Representative Willie Madrid in particular. And then we have some funding for the dental suite, for mental health services, for refrigerated vehicles to collect food for the homeless, and for supportive housing. So over $1 million in junior funding from the state legislature. So again, some excellent support and funding for our programs, for our facilities, for our community from the legislature. So the next step, as I mentioned, is for these bills to be signed, hopefully by the governor as they are, and then staff will work with our state finance entities to make sure that we get the funding as soon as possible so that we can start spending it on these great projects. That involves the state bonding for these funds, and then us bringing it in, and we'll be bringing budget adjustments to you so that we can start the expenditures for these projects. So if there are no questions, then I can provide the correct summary to you if you like, the PowerPoints. We'll send it out to you after the council meeting. So, and thank you, Akani.
Thanks, Barbara. Very good.
I don't have a question, but I do have, I grew up watching Price is Right. So I have a special request that, and next time, can you give us an ending slide with like a big reveal grand total? I would just really, the Price is Right in me would really appreciate to see like a giant number that is incomprehensible to us at the end of every.
Very good, we'll do that. So
Okay,
it was
thank
just
you.
over $11 million for capital outlay and $1.1 million for junior bill. So
Awesome.
Over $12 million for the community. Very happy.
Yeah, oh yeah, novelty check. That would be, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for your advocacy.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that it? Okay. Thanks, Connie. Thanks, Barbara. Okay, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Move to adjourn. Second.
Who made the motion? Councilor Beta, second by Councilor Bencomo. Okay. Christine?
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Councilor Abeyta?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Gondeta?
Yes, sorry.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, thank you. We are adjourned. It's 4:40 p.m. Have a good evening.